Senior Project Leader in the Peace Building Intervention Program at the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation. Zimbabwe and Botswana have now signed an agreement that will allow the citizens from both countries to travel between the two countries without the passports and just using their IDs, for instance. Remember that Botswana also went into a similar agreement with Namibia. So we'll be looking into that. Do you think that South Africa could explore that? Is there anything for South Africa to benefit out of such an initiative? And then at 4:45, we speak to Nomzamo Nkachu, one of the co-founders of the Liruna Ribatu Memorial Trust. She'll be telling us more about the inaugural Maseru Massacre Memorial Lecture that will be taking place tomorrow. So she's joining us at 4:45. And then at 5:20, we look into research that has been conducted looking into murder in the country, but the research looks also into murder by gender. And it confirms that more men are killed or murdered compared to women. For every 7 men that are murdered in the country, there's 1 woman that is murdered. And because of the prevalence of gender-based violence in the country, the focus tends to be on femicide and the vulnerabilities of women and how women are vulnerable. And I think on this show I've said before that the former CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, Silo Hatang, speaking at an event on gender-based violence as well, said during that event that even men fear men. And that is because men are also now, as we can see, and the stats confirm that, are murdered in the majority more compared to the number of women that are being murdered. So Richard will be joining us for that conversation at 4:20. And then at 5 o'clock, it is the bonding session, and broadcast extraordinaire Penny Lebiani will be joining us. She's our co-host this afternoon, and the topic that she wants us to discuss is dating younger. Will you date younger? Would you date younger? Have you ever dated younger? Whether male or female? I'd love to hear from you. So that's the discussion that we're having after 5 o'clock. 0614-104107. You can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear. Our studio line is 086-000-2032. And you can also drop me a comment on our Facebook as well as our YouTube page where we are streaming live.
The only talk radio afternoon drive show that makes sense. Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear, right here on SAFM.
13 minutes after 3 o'clock, let's now hear from Gold One Mine as they're experiencing another sit-in at the Modder East operation in Springs. We understand that close to 400 workers are stuck underground at the mine in what is believed to be another hostage situation. However, there are those who believe that the latest sit-in protest might have something to do with the dismissal of 50 employees after investigations into the previous strike. Ziad Hassam is now joining us on the line, the head of legal at Gold One Mine. Ziad, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. What's the situation?
Hi, good afternoon. Situation in terms of our information at this stage is that shortly after commencement of yesterday's night shift, it became apparent that this would be another hostage situation stroke sit-in, depending on how you characterize it. And 447 employees have not resurfaced. 2 employees have managed to escape in the early hours of the morning, and their account is that there were a small group of employees wearing balaclavas who had taken control of the situation underground, had seized all of the clock cards of the employees to prevent them from accessing back to surface, and that is the situation. What we can confirm is that at least 70 of those people underground are own managers and contract workers. So they would not be affiliated to either NUM or AMCU. And it's fairly safe to assume that those people are being held against their will. As far as the rest of the people underground, we don't know whether this is a planned sit-in or if it is a hostage or a combination of both potentially.
From the account of the 2 individuals who resurfaced, did they tell you exactly what the plight or the concerns that are raised by those who have held them hostage are?
No, we've had from them or from the bits of communication that we've received from underground, as to the reason for the sit-in. We have made contact with both AMCU and the NUM, and both unions are distancing themselves from the sit-in. We speculate, and at this stage it is purely speculation, that this potentially has something to do with the fact that yesterday afternoon 52 employees were involved in the previous hostage situation. Their hearings were concluded, and 52 employees dismissed yesterday. So it is possible that those staging the sit-in are doing so in solidarity with those who had been dismissed.
Mm-hmm. And we also hear reports that the lead investigator was shot dead.
Sadly, that is correct. Tragically, the lead investigator from the previous hostage situation was shot dead a couple of days ago as he was returning from the mine back to his home.
Yeah. So how do you then ensure the safety of the employees who are not part of this particular sit-in, but even what happens after the entire group then resurface? Because with this particular incident, now you have the lead investigator being shot dead. Not too sure whether it is linked to what the lead investigator was investigating, but of course it does raise some suspicion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right. We can't. It's speculation now as to whether the murder is linked to his part in the investigation. But certainly, we do take the safety and security of all our employees seriously. We have beefed up our private security at the mine, and we've cancelled today's day shift. And so no employees, or a very small number of employees were on site today. This is a developing situation, so we'll have to make a call as management as to when and how we ramp up operations back to normal again. Ongoing safety of our employees is of paramount concern, and we will not do anything to put them in harm's way.
Do you have any police on site?
We do have a large number of police. They've set up an operation center at the mine, and they are also trying to establish communications underground.
Thank you so much for your time. Ziad Hassam is the head of legal at the Gold One mine. As you can hear, yet another sit-in at that particular mine. The same thing happened in October, and now also news that the lead investigator following the previous sit-in, which led to the 50 employees who were dismissed, that lead investigator has now been shot and killed.
You are listening to Aldrin Sampear on SAFM.
So Sharon at office was telling me the way drip is so expensive these days. She's now waiting for her old clothes to come back into fashion. I said, Joza, while you're waiting, why not let your money do the things in a Nedbank Just Invest account, where you can get your money after 24 hours notice? Oganchani voiceman.
Injalo, Mabel. Earn up to 9% interest. Anyone can open an investment account via the Money app in under 2 minutes. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's on the interest rates apply.
Sekhukhune United target a win in their own backyard against Stade Malien FC. Meanwhile, the Malian side refused to travel back home empty-handed. This is the CAF Confederation Cup Group D clash. Catch Sekhukhune United versus Stade Malien FC on Sunday 10 December at 8:30 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Bonding session. What's your relationship like with your domestic worker? I'd love to hear.
I've had a domestic worker that's an absolute angel. She's been with us for years. She's really old at the moment and runs the show. I have to listen to her. She doesn't like listening to me anymore.
Beyond the headline.
Money lending policy to friends.
If you ask me for a loan, I have 2 loans for you. Home alone and leave me alone.
Your experience with an ex and some of the craziest things that they've tried to do, especially to try and win your love back.
ex. If we break up, I don't know you. We never met.
You are listening to Aldrin Sampear on SAFM.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock, so South Africa's Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan says he has instructed all state-owned entities to urgently develop clear plans of action on how they will implement the Zondo Commission's recommendations on state capture. The minister says it will be the task of his department to both monitor and oversee the work of compliance with the findings. Gordhan was briefing Parliament's Select Committee on Public Enterprises and Communication on the progress made on implementation of the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. Abonge Kobokane has that story.
The minister says he believes even other state entities outside the Department of Public Enterprises should follow suit in introducing their respective plans of action for the implementation of the recommendations.
The department and the ministry have been doing two things. One is to request each of the SOEs to put into place a plan of action which would give effect to the recommendations or findings of the Commission, and secondly, within the department itself, manage some of those processes as well. And there's a wide number and range of areas, recommendations of the Commission and findings of the Commission have an impact on.
Gordhan says he believes there should be serious consequences and prosecutions by the relevant law enforcement agencies for those who are implicated.
Damage caused by state capture stretches across, firstly, areas of governance that will cover boards, it will cover the type of management that boards put in place, the kind of operational diligence that boards maintain in relation to the performance of the various entities. Secondly, it's the operations of entities, because good people were either chased out or left, and with it went many decades of experience as well. And that then thirdly impacts upon the revenue and the financial situation that these entities find themselves in.
The department says it is pursuing litigation for delinquency against former directors who were serving under SOEs during the state capture period. It says about 35 former directors are being taken to court. Advocate Melangtom Makobe of the DPE says this is part of the ongoing implementation of the recommendations.
The department and the SOEs, together with other law enforcement agencies, are also ensuring that civil and criminal proceedings are referred to the relevant authorities for investigation, so that there is prosecution where necessary and there is recovery in terms of the civil suits. I'll give progress as well in terms of the details thereof. But also, we have been referring some of these directors to their various professional bodies, especially where the individuals have failed to exercise their fiduciary responsibilities.
Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
It's 24 minutes after 3 o'clock. We're in conversation next with Dr. Webster Zambara, who is a political analyst and senior project leader in the Peace Building Interventions Program at the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation. Zimbabwe and Botswana will soon scrap visa requirements for each other's citizens, and this will ease constraints movement of people between the two countries. However, they are not the first ones to come up with this initiative, as several other countries have recently introduced bilateral visa-free movement arrangements. But how will this benefit the two countries? For more on this, we now speak to Dr. Zambara. Dr. Zambara, just quick clarity on this one. Is this saying visa scrapping, or does it mean passport scrapping, where the Zimbabweans and Botswana can just use their IDs to travel between the two countries?
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your listenership. Indeed, this is a scrapping of passport as a requirement to cross each other's border. And this would be the second in Southern Africa after Botswana and Namibia made this arrangement earlier in the year in April, and that one is already functional. Now, between Zimbabwe and Botswana, this is still new, and the modalities of it are still to be worked out. But what has been announced by the two presidents is that the passport will not be a requirement, only the national ID would be a requirement for someone to cross each other's border. However, we are waiting to hear the modalities, in the sense that we don't know if there would be a limitation in terms of time For example, you may be just going to do some business. You may be given 3 days or a week, or how open it will be. That's something that will be worked out. And also which borders would be doing that first, and everything will be worked out, and we will hear more. But this will be seen as a progressive move, I think, in line with the African Continental Free Trade Area Protocol, as well as the Agenda 2063, where the colonial borders actually should start to fall and movement of people begins to be much easier.
Okay, so is it an economics proposal? Is there an economics, economics outcome, a benefit out of this particular decision to scrap the requirement for passport? Or what is the bigger picture? Because also on the other end, we know that Botswana's population is very small. I think about 5 million, if I'm not mistaken.
It is actually less than that. I think about 2.5 million.
Yeah.
It would be both economic as well as social and also even political. I mean, one of the aims of the SADC as a region is integration. That would permit its people to integrate. Economically, it will mean if you want to do business in Botswana, you do not have to have a passport that, for example, for Zimbabweans, to get a passport for an ordinary Zimbabwean is has just been increased to $200, which is about almost 4,000 rand just to get a passport. That makes it the most expensive passport in the region. But if it is not a requirement, it means instead of trying to go to other countries, even crossing to Messina, to go to Zambia to do business, it would much be easier to just cross to Botswana using your ID, you do your business and you can trade. It makes a lot of business sense. However, there's a catch to it where many people, particularly in Botswana, would be afraid of having more people coming to their countries. And you know the economic situation in Zimbabwe is such that many Zimbabweans want to go out of their country than Botswana going to Zimbabwe. Previously, it was the other way around. Botswana were coming to Bulawayo to buy and do business, and many would be attending schools and universities in Zimbabwe. Now it's the other way around. So the bigger question is, in the neighborhood, if a parent says we have allowed our children to eat at each other's house, it therefore means that parent should also buy food. Otherwise, you end up your children going to the neighbors and feed every day, and that will not be palatable. So we expect that the situation should be mutually beneficial to both citizens and both nations.
Yeah, because I remember even during the time of former President Ian Khama, his argument was the issue around the control of the borders, and saying that, for instance, the number of undocumented Zimbabweans in South Africa are way more than the number of Botswana's population. And then Botswana reports that every month at least they deport around 2,500 Zimbabweans. Does this now eliminate that particular factor?
I don't think that will be eliminated. That's why I said we want to wait for the modalities. Is it just to cross for a few days to do business and come back? Certainly, it will not mean you just go travel, decide that I want to stay 6 months in Botswana because there is no passport required. That won't go that far. All the requirements of staying longer and becoming a resident would remain, I assume. But if it is for this quick, perhaps Christmas shopping or just doing business and coming back, I think that it makes sense for people to just cross, do business and come back. If I recall, even at Beitbridge and Messina, previously you did not need to stamp your passport from Zimbabwe to South Africa. You just need what was called a daily pass. You would get a pass, you come to Messina, do your business and you go back. Only now you would need your passport stamped. So I think it is a progressive move, and I would not think that Botswana would accept, or even Zimbabwe would accept, that people just cross using their ID and stay forever. The regularities and the regulations, I think, will come out very clear on that.
Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Webster Zambara, political analyst and senior project leader in the Peace Building Interventions Program at the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation. Do you think that that's something that South Africa could explore? considering that you have Namibia, Botswana, as well as Zimbabwe, who have their members or their citizens traveling in between the countries without the requirement of passports? At least Botswana and Namibia have an agreement, and now Botswana and Zimbabwe have an agreement to allow the citizens to travel between the two countries without the need for passports. Do you think that that's something that South Africa should be exploring, considering also that we seem to be losing the battle against illegal or undocumented foreign nationals? 0614-104-107. It's a minute after 3:30. Time for the news headlines with Eva Chipa. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Aldrin. In your news-making headlines, the alleged mastermind behind the burglary at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapala farm, Emanuela David, has been denied bail by the Bela Bela Magistrate Court in Limpopo. In other news, Freedom Under Law has launched an urgent application at the High Court in Pretoria over the Judicial Service Commission's decision not to fill 2 vacancies in the Supreme Court of Appeal. And lastly, Gold One Mine says it has received information that some employees are being held underground against their will. This as over 400 workers remain underground at the Gold One Mine in Springs on Gauteng's East Rand since last night. I have more in these and other stories at the top of the hour. For SFM News, I'm Eva Chipa.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
It's the second Friday of December, and what are the roads looking like, Rob? Good afternoon.
It's the last one for a lot of workers, isn't it, today? Last Friday for a while. Very heavy backlogs on the M1 South in Joburg. There's been a crash at Soweto, just down by the Rancho Road exit. Traffic pushing back almost to the N17 highway off-ramp. Now, if you're driving up through Pretoria, a couple of things to note. A crash on the M1 North at the R21. So slow down from John Foster. After you get through that, there's another crash on the M1 North up by the N4. Emelefleni Highway, so queues going up from Grasfontein Road into that one. Long delays out of Pietermaritzburg today. An alert if you're on your way to Durban. Traffic is literally standing for about New England Road on the Pietermaritzburg bypass all the way down to Ashburton. We've got a trip time of about an hour to get through there. It's a big enough queue to force motorists off at Market Road and jam up the R103 on the run down Polly Shorts as well. Also going to Pietermaritzburg, there's queues between Camperdown and Umlas Road. Roadworks on Durban's M4, the Southern Freeway, just down by the M7. That's a big delay coming out of central Durban. As you make your way down through Kongela and Umbilo territory, and being a Friday and getting towards the end of the year, the N2 out of Cape Town is quite heavily backed up from Macassar all the way through the Somerset West area. There's queues into Victoria Street and then another queue around the Reunion Drive junction. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Yes, it's Zai Khan, and she's back again on Beyond the Headline. We love you here, by the way. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I know, not so welcome at Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
We know that he's been stripped of his captaincy, he's been suspended, some off-field issues. Now, the Chiefs marketing director and board member, Jessica Motong, saying it's very important to release the statement on the club's captain to reaffirm the club's integrity, high standards and unity. And this follows, like we said, the international goalkeeper coming to training under the influence. Motong says this action is also about assisting players.
No, this statement was very important today, and very important in setting the tone for not just the young ones, but also the other players within the team, to say that we're a team of integrity, of high standards, and also of unity, and making sure that if one doesn't do things right, we address it. But also saying, as much as there's discipline, we also want to make sure we assist our players, we empower our players. So I trust that our players take it very, very seriously.
We'll stay with soccer. Now, there is no guarantee Everton will win their appeal against a 10-point deduction in the Premier League. Manager Sean Dyche saying one thing the fans can count on is that his players show the right mentality and doing the hard yards in every game. The sanction for breaching the league's profitability and sustainability rules dropped Everton into the bottom 3, but back-to-back wins over Nottingham Forest and Newcastle United have lifted them out of the drop zone. Let's listen now to manager Sean Dyche.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, the thing that you marvel at about supporters, these supporters particularly, of course they want good play, of course they want quality. Why wouldn't you? That's the modern way and the modern game. But some of the press in second half, I think there was one down the far side that, Youngie goes on a full court press, runs his rear off to get there, and the crowd were on their feet, because they're seeing, like I say, you want quality, and I believe we've got quality, but you want a team, you want people who give their everything, and I think that was a marker, and the crowd, this crowd particularly, I said when I got here, respect the past, respect all the stories of the past, the teams and the quality, but also the doggedness, the fight, and build a future. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to revive that energy in the crowd, the people, the support, and the players to understand the underbelly, the earthiness of this club and what it stands for.
Now, rugby, where new laws to make rugby safer at school and club level were approved by the members of the South African Rugby Union at a General Council meeting. The updated laws relate to lowering of the maximum legal height at which a tackle may be made, while also outlawing potentially dangerous ball-carrying actions and techniques. And finally, tennis. Naomi Osaka has targeted a place at next year's Paris Olympics and more Grand Slam titles after she makes her eagerly anticipated return to tennis. The 26-year-old former world number one is set to return to competition at the Brisbane International starting at the end of the month, having not played on tour since September 2022. The four-time Grand Slam champion gave birth to a daughter, Shai, in July, and she's also struggled with mental health and the pressures of tennis. More sport on Beyond the Headlines with headlines, top of the hour. I am Zai Khan.
Good afternoon. This is your captain speaking with just a little flight information. We're flying at an altitude of 37,000 feet and our airspeed is 400 miles an hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BTH Airline. I'm your co-pilot, Aldrin Sampear, and I'm with you from 3 to 6, flying you through the turbulent airwaves. But the landing will be smooth.
So just sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of the flight.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
It is 22 minutes before 4 o'clock. Coming up on the show in the next short while, we'll be in conversation with Matakanya, who is the General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies, who are calling on learners and pupils not to attend pen-down parties, as they warn that such gatherings can be dangerous. So he'll be joining us in the next short while. And then also there's this story about the Prasa train, the Shosholoza Mail, that was traveling from Cape Town, supposed to be traveling from Cape Town to Johannesburg. The train got stuck in the middle of the travel to Cape Town, to Johannesburg. And then there was a statement that was issued by Prasa saying that because of the overhead cables that were stolen, they couldn't complete the voyage. Do you know of anyone, perhaps, who was on that train and who left from Cape Town, supposed to be coming back to Johannesburg? They had to then use bus services to complete the trip. So do you know of anyone who was perhaps on that train? We'd love to hear from them about the experience and also the explanation that was given to them by the Prasa officials. So 0614-104107. You can tell us about that particular person, or perhaps give us their contact details and let us get in contact with them. You can also give us a call on 086-000-2032, or maybe you are the one who was on that train. Do drop us a call. You can also give us a comment or drop us a comment on Facebook as well as YouTube. We are streaming live on those two platforms.
Hello, Michelle. Hope you're well. You know, I'm not very lekker for online internet shopping things after Uncle Donnie got a second loan on his house to pay for some escort in Portugal's child to go to university. But listen, I'm addicted to this We Buy Cars auctions. Every day you can buy cars. My finger is jikkerig on the smells. I'm going to click anytime now because I want a fancy fast car. But my husband is making me so moeg. I'm sommer listen auction him. I nogal wonder how much I will get.
We Buy Cars, the best place to buy a car by far.
Mamelodi Sundowns and Egyptian outfit Pyramids FC have collected maximum points in their Group A opening matches. They now tackle each other in search of victory. Masandawana want to ensure their visitors walk away without any joy, but Pyramids FC are confident they will upset the 2016 champs. This is the CAF Champions League. Roerkop battles it out with East Cairo. Experience the African flavor of the beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus Pyramids FC on Sunday 10 December at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Bonding session. Should I take back the gift that I gifted you when we were in a relationship once we've broken up?
Hi, I'm with Aldrin and the team. Kepaximus busy. Yo, I've got a story. I bought my then girlfriend a car, which I was paying for. 6 months later, she dumped me and she went to visit a new boyfriend with the car that I bought her. Now, I made up a trick. I stopped paying for the car and they repossessed the car. After repossessing the car, I went there and paid the outstanding balance cash. They brought the car back. I sold the car and bought a new car for my now girlfriend.
Ay, bueno. Mameli. Mameli. Why didn't you learn?
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline. Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
0614-104-107. You can drop us a voice note and an X at Aldrin Sampear. Our studio line is 086-000-2032. Remember that we're also streaming live on YouTube, so you can follow us on YouTube as well as Facebook and see what's happening in studio. Some of your comments on, let's start off with Facebook. The Lord Richie is saying that basically, if you have any disagreement with anyone, just get them killed. This is how we deal with issues. No, man. And this is in relation to the story about the One Gold Mine, where you have the lead investigator who has been shot dead. Siyabonga ka Zumpunga saying that speak of Deadwood is this Minister of Public Enterprises. Speak of Deadwood is this Minister of Public Enterprises. The man is just eating taxpayers' money for nothing. And on the conversation that we have about Botswana as well as Zimbabwe's agreement to allow the citizens to travel in between the two countries without any passports, just using the IDs, Ashley Baloy on the YouTube page commenting there saying that I will support traveling without a visa, but a passport is a must or else chaos will reign. 0614-104-107, your ex at Aldrin Sampear, and comments on Facebook as well as YouTube.
Hi Aldrin, it's Kos here from Pretoria. This move by Botswana and Zimbabwe to organize this thing of passport-free movement between the two countries is nonsense. Botswana is just facilitating, a passport-free move for the Zimbabweans from Zimbabwe to South Africa via Botswana. That's all. When they get to Botswana, they'll just cross to South Africa. They're not interested in Botswana. The Zimbabweans want to come to South Africa, and it's going to be easy for them now. Once they're in Botswana, they just cross. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Aldrin. It's Edward. Aldrin, the scraping off of passport requirements in the SADC region will assist in curbing the institutional abuse of children by government officials and their parents. For example, Minister Kazembe and Minister Mutsored knows that the children who are being said to being trafficked from Zimbabwe are just innocent children who doesn't have documents because passports in Zimbabwe are too expensive. A passport for a 5-year costs 5,000 rands. The only foreign migrants from Zimbabwe who are affording to document their children as ATP holders because themselves they are documented.
Aldrin, good afternoon. This scraping of visa by Zimbabwe and Botswana, it's a trap, my brother. It's a trap. It's a scam. They want South Africa to follow suit so that they can flock here as they want. It's just a game. They want us to follow suit and scrap so that they can all be flooded here. We should not entertain that as South Africa. We should not see it as a good example. It will be detrimental for our country. It's a scam. It's a trap.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen. Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
It is 14 minutes now before 4 o'clock. We're in conversation with Matakanya, who is the General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies. They are calling on pupils or learners to not attend pens down parties, as they warn that such gatherings can be dangerous. Just recently, 5 teenagers were taken to hospital after over-drinking at a pens down party at the East London beachfront. Matakanya now joining us on the line. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Afternoon, Aldrin.
Yep.
And all your listeners.
So on one end, of course, you're asking on pupils not to attend these parties, but there is the peer pressure element, and some of these children would give into the peer pressure, but also that they also really want to be there. On the other end, it is the parents. What about the parents?
Thank you once again, Aldrin. Well, we understand we were all once children, all of us. I think we know what peer pressure means. But peer pressure does not mean that you must destroy your life. And we have seen all these new trends that at the end, they take life. I mean, you have just mentioned an incident of Inyogeni where 21 young lives were taken away. And recently, there were 8 or 10 young lives that were taken away somewhere in KZN. So as parents, we can't just sit away and say, no, it is their time, it is the peer pressure, let them do with the peer pressure that goes. We have to guide. We are there to guide these young lives. We are there to guide these young people as their parents, as their mentors, as their leaders, as their uncle, and everybody, to say, we understand. I think as you have mentioned, we understand. But we are saying that is not the good way of doing things. Pens down, it's not allowed because it end up now injuring them, it end up destroying their lives, it end up taking away their lives. So we are warning them that they must not accept peer pressure that will end up ensuring that they are injured, they are dead, they are all, no. Then we are saying it is no. Don't go that route. But however, we also want to thank them that they have shown the respect, discipline, humor throughout the year. Well, under these difficulties, Aldrin, that we have got difficulties of water, we have got difficulties of nurturing and all those things. But I must tell you, they have shown humility, they have shown respect, they have shown discipline until they got this last day, particularly the grade 12, 28 days writing until the official day on the 6th of December when they finally finished their exam by rewriting CAT. And we really want to thank them that they made us proud, and not forgetting the labor, because through and throughout there was peace. We want to thank the Department of Education, the dedicated work that they have done, particularly the Department of Education that is led by Rufus Polio, and not forgetting the minister, not forgetting the DG and all their offices. Now, lastly, governing bodies, we are proud of you, that you govern the schools through and throughout, through the support of the National Association of School Governing Bodies and the youth organizations. We are happy that we were one until we saw our children through. And we are saying to them, please take care of your lives. You are going to the second level of your education, universities, technology, technicals, TVET, field of work. You are going there, go in one piece if you take care. Still use the very same discipline, still use the very same respect as you have shown in your schools, to your teachers, to your principal, to everybody, to school government, to your parents. And we want to thank parents finally that, parents, you have done your work. You have done your work. We must praise you.
Is it possible, though, Matakanye, instead of saying to them, don't go to these parties, to say, when you do go to these parties, be responsible? So you preach the message of responsibility instead of a message that says, let's prohibit you from going. We're encouraging you not to go to these parties. Because eventually, at some point, some of these children are now becoming adults. And a school governing body association like yourself won't be there when they are now with other friends who are not in school.
No, it's fine. It's fine if they go there with respect, Aldrin. But look what respect did to the Eastern Cape in your baby. I mean, we told them the very same message, but they went. Where is the young life? The KZN, you remember, in the car and all those things. With respect, I mean, we warn them because we are from these things. We know these things. We have experience. And they must discipline themselves so that they are able. So at times, Aldrin, yes, we accept that there is peer pressure. However, we must not succumb to peer pressure. Because at times when we succumb to peer pressure, we do wrong things and say, no, it's peer pressure and all that. Because some end up becoming pregnant. Some become drug addicts and all those things. And we cannot tomorrow and say, no, yes, of course, we accept this position. It is due to peer pressure and all this, without warning them. We are warning them that these things have got terrible consequences. So they must know that.
Thank you so much for your time, Matakanya, who is the General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies. What do you do when your child is in grade 12 and says that they want to go to a pens down party? What's your advice to that particular grade 12 pupil who would be attending that particular party? As a parent, as perhaps somebody who has done the same. I went to a pens down party. I did. And we got drunk. Yeah, I think actually you're right. Well, the majority of the people that I know who are in grade 12, who made it to grade 12, because that's another one, the majority who made it to grade 12 that I know of actually did go to pens down parties. And my thing around this is also I'd rather preach a message of responsibility instead of a message that says don't go at all. Rather preach be responsible, because at some point these young adults won't have associations like the one that Matakanya is running that will say don't go to a particular party. But as an individual with your own agency, be responsible. If you're going to be going to a party, my advice to you is be responsible. When you feel that you can't take any more, stop it. Don't take any more. And then also remember that there is an age restriction to alcohol. It's not for everybody. 0614 104 107.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Let's go to East London. Siapiwa, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Aldrin. How are you?
I'm well. How's it?
I'm good. I wanted to comment on the issue of the Zimbabwe-Botswana borders. And I think it's a good move. I mean, if you look at it as a SADC region, we should be in the state whereby we can have a free move like a Eurozone region.
Yeah.
But that move, it needs to be, we first need to call our political leadership to account to develop the economies of each SADC countries. Because that's the problem, we're having an issue of a SADC whereby corruption thrives. For example, I'm listening from the listeners, they think Zimbabweans will flock here. Because as a SADC, we have failed to hold account each leader of each SADC region country to say you must account, and we need to have a proper economic development plan whereby I would say this is a plan to develop the SADC region economy. Then that plan will require now as having one free movement.
Yeah.
Whereby
Also
it should
considering
be
the
free
African
trade.
continental free trade area is how do we ensure that everyone benefits out of that, not just business but also the individuals?
No, okay. There are certain elements that we need to look at that. Because at individual level, for example, if not only not only business, even as individual, for individual I would love. For example, I love touring. I would benefit in a sense that if I want to simply want to go into Victoria Falls, I'll take my ID and I wouldn't have to do all this paperwork, then I cross and tour. Then I've got, for example, I started at 40. I've got friends in Zimbabwe, I've got friends in Malawi, and I started that back in Zimbabwe, back in Malawi. I've got friends, so it means if we're in communication, it would mean for me, if I want to go and visit there, it's gonna be easy for me to say, okay, look, my friend, this December, can I come for a visit for a week or two? Maybe we're gonna go and have a gathering, one of our friends in Malawi or in Uganda. So I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be beneficial in those things, in those areas. But first, of course, first thing first. First thing first, we need to help each other, leaders account, grow economy in such a way that when we open these borders, it doesn't become now whereby everyone will run to one country and then the fiscus of that particular country suffers. So it should be beneficial.
Okay. Siapiwa there from East London. 0614-104107 and your ex at Aldrin Sampear.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good afternoon, Aldrin. Hi. No, you know what? I agree fully with the National Association of School Governing Bodies. I mean, what are these kids benefiting from such parties? I don't understand. I don't think this needs really to be a topic. It just doesn't make sense. Parents must just, be responsible and stop their children from attending these things that are not going to benefit them but cause them a lot of problems. Tebogo, Nelspruit in Mpumalanga.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
Tebogo, why do you send your child to celebrate somebody else's child's birthday? Do they really go there to benefit something out of it? I don't think that that's the intention, that you're going to a Penstown party to actually go and benefit anything out of the Penstown party. Why do you agree to your child attending a matric dance farewell? Huh? Why do you agree to that? And this is a party as well. A matric dance is also a party. But the difference with the matric dance, as well as a Penstown party, is that with a matric dance, you find that there are teachers and there are adults, right, that are in the room. But then there are the after parties that also happen after the farewell. I'm saying, when do you start teaching and preaching responsibility and also responsible alcohol use? Because at some point, these are young adults who are going to exercise their own agency.
Good afternoon, Adrian. This is not a hearsay or a scenario. My daughter asked to go to this Penstown party. I refused. I told her that no, she won't go there. She's not going to go there because of the negativity of things that are happening there. She said to me she'll be responsible. I told her that you can be responsible, but if 20 other children they are not responsible, you become a victim. You'll be responsible, but you can get hurt. Even if you are responsible, stay at home, because this is just a big. Why are you putting a pen? Because you'll be going to varsity. You should actually be lifting up a bigger pen. So I don't allow that. She's fine. She's okay. She's doing well. It's Tabu Manyi here.
On X, Dios saying that, hello Aldrin, I think schools with parents should organize pens down just to provide a safe space for learners to have fun, or parents should organize the pens down for pupils. All they should be given is a safe space. Even alcohol should be limited because they want to taste it anyway. It is 4 o'clock. It is time for the news.
Independent, independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Top stories at 4. Bail denied for mastermind behind the Phala Phala robbery, and South Africans urged to read the Blue Drop report on water quality. Good afternoon, I'm Eva Chipa. The Bela Bela Magistrate Court in Limpopo has denied the alleged mastermind behind the burglary at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala Phala farm, Emmanuela David, bail. His two co-accused siblings, Froliana and David Joseph, were granted bail last month. The trio are facing charges of housebreaking and theft of over $580,000 from the farm in February 2020. David is also facing an additional charge of money laundering. The matter has been postponed to the 23rd of February, and here's the magistrate, Pradeshni Ponman, who said the accused had failed to give the court his residential address.
Accused number 1 has no fixed address that could be verified with certainty. He further misled this court regarding ownership of any movable or immovable property. There is a strong possibility that accused number 1, should he be released on bail, may tamper or interfere with the investigation or the state witnesses or destroy or conceal any evidence against him. It is very clear that accused number 1 has not satisfied this court that the interests of justice permit his release from custody. Bail is accordingly denied.
NPA spokesperson in Limpopo, Mashudu Malabi Zahangi, says they welcome the court's decision.
Accused number 1 has been linked to all 4 counts of money laundering, including the one of theft with intent to steal. So, accused number 1, David, it was revealed through investigation that he has bought immovable properties using amount of money up to 980,000, and he also transferred those properties to other people. So he failed to prove to court in order for him to be released on bail.
Freedom Under Law has launched an urgent application at the High Court in Pretoria over the Judicial Service Commission's decision not to fill 2 vacancies in the Supreme Court of Appeal. Following 2 days of interviewing 10 candidates in October, the body recommended Judge Veyeza Katri Sidroane and Judge Anna Kogele for appointment to the court, which had 4 vacancies. President Cyril Ramaphosa has since appointed the pair to the SCA upon recommendation by the JSC. However, this still leaves 2 vacancies in court. Zoleka Kodashe reports.
Freedom Under Law has approached the court on an urgent basis for Part A of its legal challenge against the JSC's decision not to fill 2 vacancies at the SCA, a decision that excluded Judge David Antehalter from the list of recommended candidates to the court. The organization has described this as a dereliction of the JSC's constitutional duty. It says the loss of experienced judges at the court has led to a crisis at the SCA, and the failure to appoint suitable judges further weakens and leaves it under-resourced.
In other news, Gold One Mine says it has received information that some employees are being held underground against their will. Over 400 workers remain underground at the Gold One Mine in Springs on Gauteng's East Rand since last night. Ziad Hassam, head of legal at Gold One Mine, says investigations are underway to determine the motive of the sit-in.
Early last night, shortly after commencement of the night shift, it became apparent that the employees who were underground were not going to come out. There's a small group of people in balaclavas, so we don't know their identity, but they are holding the rest of the employees against their will. Some obviously will be sitting in solidarity, but a large number, we told, are being held against their will. And 2 employees managed to escape in the early hours of this morning, and they've described the scene underground, and they've confirmed that people are being held against their will.
And lastly, Water Institute of Southern Africa, WISA, has advised South Africans to read the Blue Drop report and contact their municipalities to ascertain the quality of water they are receiving. The National Department of Water and Sanitation this week released the report which assessed the state of all drinking water systems throughout the country. One of the main findings of the report was that 46% of water quality tests carried out by municipalities between 2021 and 2022 ranked poor in the microbiological water quality compliance. WISA Director Yisha Lahir explains.
If you live in a big city or metro or wherever you are living, it is important to go and look in your municipal
score to go and find out where the water quality is safe or not. You can decide whether that water is safe for your family or not. And if it is not safe and you have children at home, if you have old people, if you have people suffering with disabilities or sickness or whatever, and it's microbiologically not safe, you need to boil that water to protect yourself.
Recapping the top story at 4, the Bela Bela Magistrate Court in Limpopo has denied the alleged mastermind behind the burglary at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapara farm, Emmanuel David, bail. I'll be back at the bottom of the hour for SFM News. I'm Eva Chipa.
Welcome to SFM Sports Headlines. Rugby, it's a new look Currie Cup where all 14 unions get a chance to compete for the top prize. And in soccer, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta remains unapologetically committed to displaying his emotions on the sidelines. Details coming up at the bottom of the hour.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
It is 6 minutes after 4 o'clock. Coming up on the show in this hour, we'll be in conversation with Warrant Officer Majola Nkotli, who is the spokesperson for the police in the Eastern Cape, and he says that they are warning people to be vigilant during the festive season, as they suspect that there could be an increase in stock theft, and this is following the arrest of 2 men in Mzuzanto village between Kumbu and Kwapaqa. So we'll be having that conversation with Warrant Officer Nkotli in the next short while. And then also coming up on the show at around 20 past 4, we speak to Professor Richard Matsopoulos, who is a researcher at the Burden of Disease Unit at the Medical Research Council. And I wonder whether you have an answer to this. So the study found that there are more men that are murdered compared to women. For every 7 men that are killed, you have 1 man. For 7 men that are killed, 1 woman is killed. However, though, the focus of murder tends to be more around the femicide that women are experiencing because of the prevalence of gender-based violence. Why do you think that is the case?
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Quite heavy on Joburg's M1 South. There's a breakdown before the Winnie Mandela Drive exit into 4-way. That is a stationary truck and the traffic is queuing almost back as far as Buccleuch interchange. 2 crash scenes causing a slowdown on the M1 North through Pretoria. The first collision at the R21. Delays from John Foster. The second crash up by the N4 Emma-Lethani split, and that's backing traffic from Garsfontein. Stays heavy, although it is easing on what it was 30 minutes ago. This is the run from Pietermaritzburg down through, if you're driving to Durban, there is traffic on the Pietermaritzburg bypass all the way through to about Umlas Road before you feel like you're out of that. And if you're driving to Pietermaritzburg, a breakdown at Umlas Road with queue back as far as the Camperdown area. Also slow between Sherwood and Pavilion on your way out of Durban towards Pinetown. Roadworks on the Southern Freeway, the M4 causing a big delay from the CBD as you line that through Congella and the Umbilo area. And Cape Town today fairly heavy on the N1, particularly inbound through the Brackenfell area, and Hout Bay Main Road remains closed between Diesel River Road and the Central Hout Bay area. So if you're going in or out to Hout Bay, factor in some queue time on those alternative local routes. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is
You are listening to Aldrin Sampear on SAFM 3 to 6 p.m.
Hashtag SAFMBTH.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
10 past 4.
10 past 4.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
10 past.
It's the celebration of the century, and you're invited. We've already given away almost 3 million rand with 56 daily vouchers won. Buy a new Ford before 31 December, and you could win a 50,000 rand voucher or the grand prize of us paying for your new Ford. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. TNCs apply. Mamelodi Sundowns and Egyptian outfit Pyramids FC have collected maximum points in their Group A opening matches. They now tackle each other in search of victory. Masandawana want to ensure their visitors walk away without any joy, but Pyramids FC are confident they will upset the 2016 champs. This is the CAF Champions League. Roerkop battles it out with East Cairo. Experience the African flavor of the beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus Pyramids FC on Sunday 10 December at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
0614104107. You can drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear, and our studio line is 086-000-2032. I hope that you enjoy watching us on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Just a quick comment here from Elsie, who says that now I can see that I'm going to lose my job for being glued to my favorite show on the tube. Yes, on YouTube. Ashley saying that I have one message and warning to the young people. Be careful of the mistakes you make, as some mistakes will follow you for the rest of your life. Make the ones you can learn from. And the wicked, okay, I'm not going to read the other part, but it is wicked. Young minds embrace knowledge, read, carry dictionary, and make learning a lifelong adventure. Face challenges with resilience. Best of wishes on your exciting journey. And then on our Facebook page, where we're also streaming live on, a progress saying that since more people are, quote, jumping the borders anyway, it makes sense, at least by presenting IDs, you can account for the numbers and out, or the numbers in and out of your country. So do you agree with what the progress is arguing there? 0614104107. Let's take some of your voice notes, and you can also drop me an X at the agenda _SABC. No, sorry, it's not at the agenda, but it is at SAFM Radio. At the agenda _SABC is the other one.
You are listening to Aldrin Sampear on SAFM.
Good afternoon, Captain Aldrin and the entire BTH team. Jamnandas, Pravin Gordhan. So state-owned enterprises must come up with a plan on how they're going to implement Zondo Commission. When he himself was on CNN to say, no, there was no state capture because all what is called now as a state capture was the coffee shop gossip. Man, come on, yo, Jamnandas. The same as Zondo. These guys, I don't know what goes through their mind. In fact, if there's something that they're taking to destabilize their thinking capability, they must just slow down and sit down. Jamnandas, give us a break. SA was never captured. Vitu Drap.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
Let's go to the Eastern Cape, speaking to the police spokesperson there, Warrant Officer Majola Nkoli. The Eastern Cape farmers and livestock owners are urged to be vigilant of stock theft as we head into the festive season. This is after two men were arrested near Mzanto village between Qumbu and Kwapaka after they were allegedly found transporting 16 sheep and 12 lambs in a bakkie on Tuesday. Warrant Officer now joining us on the line. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. How were they traced?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to your listeners as well. What actually happened? We have in the Eastern Cape. Remember, we've launched what is called Operation Festive Season, where we have increased the number of our members that are on the ground, and also utilization of crime intelligence. And remember, this time of the year, most people. The business of stock is booming because a lot of people, there's a demand for sheep and cows and all that for traditional and other traditional use. So basically, we are now on the toes. We are actually on high alert. Increase our crime intelligence programs and ensure that we have more, we deployed more sources on the ground to get more information, especially when it comes to stock theft, because we know this is the time where we expect a lot of stock theft cases during the festive season. Hence, because not only this incident, the OR Tambo district is one of the districts which is our priority district in terms of stock theft. And we also have another district. There are actually three in the Eastern Cape. That is Alfred Nzo, your OR Tambo district, and the Chris Hani district. Those are our three priority districts when it comes to stock theft. So what we have done specifically in those three districts, we have increased our resources for stock theft unit and also our visible members. And whenever our members do come across such people who are transporting stock either on buggies or in vehicles, we always they will be stopped and requested for to produce necessary documents. Because remember, for anyone who, even if you have bought a ship or whatever stock that you have in your possession in transit, you must have a document. Even if you own the stock, you must have proper documents to transport that stock with you. So the moment you are stopped and you can't produce any documents, definitely we are going to arrest you and make sure that up until you produce enough documents, or we process you to go to court if you don't have documents.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Warrant Officer Majola Nkotli, Eastern Cape Police spokesperson.
Yeah, I'm sure Nelly has newfound respect for me. I had to sort her out, hey? Next time she keeps quiet while I'm talking to her, she'll think twice, I tell you.
Coach. And that'll be a perfect example to your son on how to treat a woman.
Now, what does my son have to do with this now?
Man, Coach, you tell me, man. Look how you turned out and think deep. Pella, the cycle could end with you.
Let us uplift the boy child and raise real men for a gender violence-free tomorrow. A message brought to you by Love Life. This is an SABC-supported initiative. Individual brilliance always adds a superb vibe to the team. Sami Sohail of Malawi holds the highest batting average in 2020 internationals. Dhruv Maisuriya of Botswana is the quickest to reach 50 wickets in 2020 internationals, and Francisco Kowana of Mozambique is the first player to score a century and take 5 wickets in the same 2020 internationals. Catch these African stars in action of the BNP Group Africa Cup this December, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the
game. #SAFMBTH.
All right, we speak to Zangotando Kubeka, who is a creative and one of the people who explored the long-distance Shosholoza mail train. Earlier on, we told you about the long-distance train, the resumption of the services, traveling from Johannesburg to Cape Town, actually. I thought it was from Cape Town to Johannesburg, but it's actually from Johannesburg to Cape Town. And then the train stopped in Wellington due to, as the Passenger Railway Agency is saying, it was due to cable theft. Let's speak to Zangotando, who was also on that train. Zangotando, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
So what happened?
What happened is essentially we got to Wellington and I was told by the train manager that that's where our journey ends because there was cable theft ahead. So it would take too long for them to repair those cables for us to continue with the journey. So they arranged for us to have a bus to take us to Cape Town from there.
Did they say how long ago the cables were stolen, when it happened?
No, they didn't say. They just said that their security agencies that they work with told us that ahead it wouldn't be feasible for us to continue, and it would take too long to make the necessary repairs for the train to take us all the way there.
So how long were you guys stuck at Wellington?
It wasn't for too long. We arrived at around 7:30, and by 9 o'clock we were in the bus. That just gave me enough time to have breakfast
and
pack all my bags.
Yeah. And tell us about the experience, though, of being on the train and why you decided to take this maiden voyage since the train last was on track since 2021.
So essentially, the reason I took the train is because I like things, and it was a very worthwhile experience. It was a very wholesome and fulfilling experience, and I'm kind of glad that's the decision I made. I'm actually on a train right now. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but
is this now a metro rail train?
Yeah, it's a metro rail train from Cook to Woodstock.
Okay.
So I took the train because I wanted to experience what it was like for other people, and I didn't know when the opportunity would present itself again.
Yeah.
So
irrespective of what has happened, are you still happy with that with the journey?
The only gripe I have is that it took longer than it was initially supposed to take, but I would suggest people give it a try. If you were to take it with friends, for example, it would be a very fun trip. It has a lot of potential, and I think Pross is onto something here. And if they could just fix the bugs, it would be a very important key point for the country. Yeah. And I think we deserve it as a nation. We've been through a lot, and we just deserve to have something to celebrate like this.
Love the optimism. Thank you so much. Zangwethando Kubeka, they're creative and one of the adventurous souls who explored the long-distance Shosholoza mail train. Were you on that train by any chance? Give us a call on 086 000 2032, or do you know of someone who was on the train? You can also send us a voice note on 0614 104 107. Bonding session. So when did you realize that your person at the time was cheating?
Mine, well, I don't know if I can say she cheated on me, but I met this girl. She seemed innocent enough, and I decided, no, let's take it slow. And then we spoke, and then I like you, be my girlfriend. She's like, yes, but let's take our time, and then things go by. And things go by. And then the other time, when we're supposed to spend the night together, I call her on the day that we made a date, the phone not being answered. I call her, the phone was being answered. I get concerned, and tomorrow I call again, and her sister answers her phone, and she's like, no, she's not here, and gave me some story. But something smelled fishy, because in my mind, why would you answer somebody else's? And from then, she went ghost. Up until I had to go to her workplace. And then when I got there, I saw her, and guess what? She was pregnant.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline. Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Afternoon, Adrian. Ricky Mshariga Upala. This guy who's saying kids should not go to after party and he's saying he's been there. That's the reason why kids will want to go. Because you've been there, they also want to be there. So this thing of saying you want to teach them not to go there because you know you've been there. As kids will always want to experiment, will want to do what you are saying you have been there for. They want to go and see what happened. Why are you here? If you are saying they are going to die there, if you went there, why are you here? Why didn't you die? So I think it's better to say they should be safe and do good things only.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
I think sometimes we really undermine the intelligence of kids. But anyway, let's quickly speak to Professor Richard Matopoulos, who is a researcher at the Burden of Disease Unit at the Medical Research Council. A new study has been released on murder in South Africa and the profile of the victims of this violent crime. The study sought to challenge the outdated narrative that men in society are considered invulnerable in their susceptibility to violence and interrogated their ability to navigate access to healthcare systems. The study recommended that more work needs to be done to reduce the rate of men being murdered, as they fall in the vast majority of cases, 87% of the participants in the study. This study was conducted by the Medical Research Council in partnership with the School of Public Health at the University of Cape Town, looking at the years 2000, 2009 and 2017. To tell us more about the recommendation, we speak to Professor Richard Matsopoulos. Professor Matsopoulos, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. Looking at the findings from the study, that while you would have 7 men who die, for every 7 men who are murdered, you have 1 woman murdered. But why is that the case?
Thanks for taking an interest, Aldrin. Look, this isn't a new pattern. This has been going on for a number of years. As you can see from our study, similar proportions in 2000, 2009 and 2017. So the purpose here was really just to highlight that enormous disparity, because it seems that we haven't really done enough to change the profile. We make some effort to try and describe how those cases are distributed and point out particular groups at risk. Looking at age is a major factor. We know that men engage in risk-taking behavior, so not surprising that young adults and youth are involved or victims of violence. So ages of 15 to 44 of the groups where that ratio is much greater than for women. We also see clustering around high-risk periods coinciding with festive periods. So December, for example, on weekends, and we know both of those timings are very strongly related to alcohol involvement.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really surprising findings, but we're trying to highlight them because we feel that there's need for greater prevention effort.
Yeah. So is the issue really with men that, and even young men, is that they are more likely to engage in risky behavior compared to women, and because of that particular nature, that's the reason why they become more susceptible to violence and then end up being murdered?
Well, I mean, you also have to look at the perpetrators. So the perpetrators are primarily men as well. So the risk-taking behavior and putting yourself in a position where you're at risk of being assaulted is one thing, but also you've got to look at the dynamics, the gender norms around violence, and why perpetrators, for example, will exact different types of violence against men and against women. So we know, I mean, it's no surprise that women in South Africa are subject to enormous amounts of abuse and sexual abuse, primarily affecting women rather than men. But the levels of physical violence against men, that's also a gender dynamic that we need to unpack and understand. And it's not just adults. So you even see that amongst young children, from the ages 0 to 4 years old, very young children, you see that boys 80% more likely to be murdered than girls. So the type of violence exacted on men also has a gender dynamic that we need to understand better.
Yeah. And what does the study also show about the provinces? When let's, for instance, look at the Western Cape. I think the study there found around 11 to 1.
Yeah, there's definitely a greater ratio, male to female ratio in the Western Cape. So it's 11.5 men killed in the Western Cape for every woman. Other province where there was a high ratio was in the Free State. One of the interesting things, though, is that it's the ratio is one thing, but it's the actual variability in homicide. It's mainly men where there's considerable variation. So if you look at the rates, the range of rates globally. The places with very high homicide rates in the world are places with very high homicide rates against men. There's much less variability with women. And in fact, I mean, if we eradicated all gender-based violence, all female homicide, we would still have one of the highest homicide rates in the world because of this imbalance.
And what's the recommendations?
Difficult to give recommendations based on a descriptive study. I mean, I think we've posed this study really to begin exploring and asking questions, and we're setting it all out for other researchers to engage and try and find specific issues that need unpacking. But I mean, the first thing is that we need to broaden our prevention focus. We need to include men as targets of prevention. Specifically, we can't just be focused on women and children, even though we need to continue with those efforts. And if we looking at men, we need to look at some of the broader societal aspects. So reducing inequality, improving positive adult involvement, sorting out the easy access to alcohol, for example. So there are broader societal interventions that we need to be exploring. And the benefit is to the whole of society, because men tend to be the carriers of violence. So if you have violent men, they grow up and they pass it on to their children, and it becomes intergenerational, and the whole society suffers. So it's important that we take a broader population-based approach to violence prevention.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Professor Richard Metsopolis, who's a researcher at the Burden of Disease Unit at the Medical Research Council. 0614-104107, X at Aldrin Sampear. Our studio line is 086 000 2032. It's a minute after 4:30. Time for the news headlines.
In your news making headlines, the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM, has confirmed that 50 more protesting mine workers have resurfaced from their underground sit-in at the Bakubong Platinum Mine in the northwest. This after 24 striking miners resurfaced due to chronic medical conditions yesterday. In other news, Gold One Mine has described the death of one of its investigating officers as a tragic loss of life. The 55-year-old man was fatally shot close to the Gold One Modder East operations in Springs. This is on Gauteng's East Rand on Tuesday. And lastly, the alleged mastermind behind the burglary at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Parapara farm, Emmanuela David, has been denied bail by the Bela Bela Magistrate Court in Limpopo. Udupi Makalimela will have more on these and other stories at the top of the hour. For SFM News, I'm Eva Chipa.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, the run between Midrand and Fourway is being held badly this afternoon. There's a crash at the Beclue interchange. That's on the M1 South. So there's a big queue coming down through Allendale Road in towards that crash. And then, if you're trying to get through the Fourways, there's a broken down truck before Winnie Mandela. So that queue at Beclue extends all the way through towards the Fourways off-ramp. So effectively, from about the LaRue Avenue Bridge area in Midrand on the N1 South, you're sitting traffic right through Beclue and right down to the Fourways off-ramp. That is pretty heavily backed up. Bit of traffic on the M1 South today as well, coming out of Pretoria. Stationary truck at Rigel Avenue. That's pushing Friday volumes back as far as Linwood Road. Stays busy on the run from Pietermaritzburg if you're on the way to Durban. It is easing, but there's a lot of traffic between sort of Market Road at PMB and the Umlas Road off-ramp. And if you're on your way to Pietermaritzburg, a broken down truck at Umlas Road. So delays from the Camperdown area. N2 fairly busy. It has been all day today between Kwamashu and Gateway. Both ways, looks like there may have been an alteration in the roadworks up there. And Cape Town, a crash on the N2 out of town at Mowbray Main. That's slowing traffic through Hospital Bend. And Hout Bay Main Road remains closed, effectively from Deezer River Road right through into Hout Bay. That's due to a burst water main and road surface collapse. So very heavy traffic from the Constantia neck side going into Hout Bay, and fairly heavy on the local detours. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Welcome to it. We kick off with Currie Cup, which has been given an overhaul and will now be played from July to the end of September. This is just one of the changes made to the competition following SA Rugby's General Council meeting in Cape Town today. A new format has also been introduced from 2025 that will allow all 14 unions to play for the top prize in South African domestic rugby. The change to a July start is to avoid the competition clashing with the European competitions, which will free up the union's best players to also feature in the Currie Cup. Meanwhile, Brian Abana says it won't be a walk in the park for World Cup stars like Antoine Dupont to get used to the intensity of sevens ahead of the Olympic Games. Now, the France captain and former Wallaby skipper Michael Hooper are among the star names set to switch codes next year to take part in the 2024 Olympics in Paris. Shifting between the codes is not unusual, with the likes of Kwagga Smith, Cheslin Colby and the Stormers stalwart Rohan Nel and Sabelo Senatla regularly switching at time in their careers before focusing exclusively on 15s. Soccer news, Mikel Arteta says he will continue to show passion on the touchline despite landing himself with a ban for Arsenal's trip to Aston Villa. That's tomorrow. The Spaniard will not be in the dugout at Aston Villa as Arsenal aim to strengthen their grip at the top of the Premier League after he received a third yellow card of the season, and that was in the victory at Luton. The Gunners came from behind to win 4-3 as Declan Rice headed in the decider deep into stoppage time, with Arteta cautioned by the referee who deemed he had celebrated the goal excessively. And finally, golf. Rory McIlroy says Europe will have to rewrite the rules for Ryder Cup eligibility after Masters champion Jon Rahm joined Live Golf yesterday. The world number 3 Rahm was unbeaten as Europe defeated the United States 16-11 to regain the Ryder Cup in Rome, but his switch to join the Saudi-funded Live Tour has put his participation in the next edition in jeopardy. And that's a wrap of your sport on SAFM. I'm Zai Khan.
Aquele.
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 Aquela.
Aquele.
Aquili.
Aquele.
Aquela. No matter how you say it, one thing's for sure, Aquele has been your trusted natural spring water and delicious flavored sparkling drink for 25 years. Celebrating 25 years of refreshment and joy. Thank you, Mzansi, for your support and making us your favorite water brand. Aquele, spreading joy for 25 years. Eintracht Frankfurt plans to have things their way when they clash with the giants of German football Bayern München. They believe a win is more exciting on home ground, while the Bavarians are gunning for strictly 3 points to settle at the top of the table. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch the superb contest between Eintracht Frankfurt and Bayern München on Saturday 9 December at 3 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. #We love it here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And it's time for a market update with Paswana Mphahlele, who's a senior portfolio manager at Markware Fund Managers. Paswana, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Tell us about local and international market developments.
Good afternoon, Aldrin, and to all your listeners. Looking into the markets, we'll start off here. US dollar popped up higher, Aldrin, above that 104 level, along with bond yields after being constrained from in recent times. And this follows inflation expectation rising a little bit. This following a positive labor report we saw today from the US, where the unemployment rate dropped unexpectedly to 3.7% from 3.9% the previous month, as the economy added 199,000 jobs in the month of November. This has put on more weight on rethinking the idea that rates should be back on the table, or the idea of pushing the rate cuts dates back, as the likes of inflation worry investors. Locally here, what we attracted a lot of investors was company news that filtered in the likes of Absa, informing investors that they expect more losses on their loan books as consumers struggle with higher interest rates. We saw the stock down 5%. Meanwhile, Anglo America also was down about 13%, following in the informing us that its unit Kumba they will be basically overall will be cutting their production over the next 3 years to align with output due to the constrained capacity to transport minerals via rail to port. And this follows the challenges that come from Transnet, as they're seeing the stockpiles are even running higher by 9 million tons. And this implication of such things is you see capital spending will drop. They expect to cut their capex by 1.8 billion by 2026, and they further will be cutting operating costs. Their head office, they plan to cut 30% of their work staff to reduce costs. Looking at the index performance from a global mixed point following all these developments, we're seeing a mixed performance. US opened lower with the Dow and the S&P. They were down 0.2%, and the Nasdaq was leading the charts down 0.4%. That AI pump did not work much this early morning. Europe was in the green with the FTSE and the DAX rebounding 0.3% and the CAC up 0.8% on those expectations of monetary easing coming from Europe. South Africa, we were lower with all these company developments and the global effects. The JSE was down 1.4%, dragged by resources down 6.8%, financials down 0.2%, and industrials down 0.8%. Looking at those commodity counters, oil prices were up just 1.5%, remaining that bearish trend. The oil price sitting at $75.50 a barrel. Gold was down 0.7%, following that strong labor market news, it's at $2,014 an ounce. Platinum up 0.6 at $912.50 an ounce. The rand, because of the weakness, we're seeing the strength coming from the dollar, which seems relatively weak against major currencies. Rand against the dollar sits at 18.94. Rand against the euro is at 20 rand 34 cents, and rand against the pound is 23 rand and 70 cents. Aldrin.
Thank you so much. That is Paswan Mpahlele, Senior Portfolio Manager at Makwe Fund Managers.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
We are saying to JP Smith, you are not the law. You are simply an MMC. And if everybody in the Western Cape is afraid of you, we're not afraid of him. He's not a goddess of South Africa. He's not God. Everybody in the Western Cape, in the DA and so on, when he speaks, it's like it's God or Gabriel speaking. He's not Gabriel.
Gabrielle, you've gone too far. Gabrielle, you've gone too far, and you should hang your head in shame. For these wounds I cannot stay. You've gone too far. You broke my heart. You've gone too far.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline. This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
It is 19 minutes now before 5 o'clock. We're in conversation next with Nomzamo Nkhachu, who is one of the co-founders of the Liruna Ribatu Memorial Trust, a survivor of the massacre and a child of one of the victims, Jackson Trom, who was known as Gazi. So we're in conversation with her about the inaugural Maseru Massacre Memorial Lecture, which is due to take place tomorrow in commemoration and honor of the victims and survivors of 1982 and 1985 Maseru massacres. The event will also see the official opening of the inaugural Liruna Ribatu art exhibition, a conceptual art project pioneered by the Walter Sisulu University's fine arts students. And she now joins us in studio. Nomzamo, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Good afternoon, Aldrin, and good afternoon to the listeners.
So it's actually happening.
It is happening.
Yeah.
Gee, after so many tears, blood, and so much labor, it's finally happening. But yeah, and I'm so happy that we are finding home actually here, and you guys have embraced us, because even last year, it was during this time that you gave us this platform to share our plight. We were very angry last year. We still are angry. You'll hear more about the behind the scenes, but Sianyovile is happening tomorrow. Yeah.
And last year, though, the nice thing is we got the AMCU president actually called me and said, hey, Joseph Matunja. So, Babu Matunja, if you're listening, thank you once again for the contribution. Reached out to Nomzamo and...
Yeah, we've gotten support from people that, and I don't want to use, like ordinarily I wouldn't have thought that people will extend their empathy and their sympathy, because you'd think, because this story has ties to the African National Congress and so many influential people who are part of government, we would get more embrace from those quarters, but it's been actually the opposite. So when Obaba Matunja reached out, and it was such a lovely way that our current when I get more into our art exhibition, the curator, Uzodwa Tutani, who is responsible for this art exhibition, curated the 10 Years of Marikana exhibition at the Makanda Festival. So just that, connecting with her in East London back in March, and when Ms. Ntate Matunja also, reached out to say, I want to donate. I want to, play a part in the project. And we said, say no more. So it's been such a, when I know about Ubaba Matunja, if he didn't want us to mention this, but it's quite important, right? Because our plight, again, is how we are. All the doors we've been knocking at, we've been getting rejections. And the most painful one is getting rejections 2 days before an event, right? But as I say, we said it's do or die. We will hold our event, and this event is actually a culmination of a project that started as early as March.
And what was his contribution?
You mean in terms of, must we say, the monetary?
Yeah.
So it was a sum of 10,000 rand,
Wow.
which went a long way because before tomorrow, this project tomorrow is a culmination of the art conceptual process that started at the Walter Sisulu University in East London, and we needed funding for the kiddos, right? So they firstly disrupted their curriculum work to accommodate us, to create these artworks that pay tribute to the victims of the 1982 and 1985 Maseru massacres. And for all of the students who participated, it was the very first time that they heard about this massacre. So having AMA 2000, so excited to do this, and Mdate Matunjo's contribution assisted us because we started from our own pockets, but that injection we needed the most. And it also carried us because 3 years ago we were in Maseru to go document the stories that you heard. If you remember last year, we spoke about the need for us to document because the elders are passing away in their droves, and we need that as them being the what you call the oral repository, and we are going to create our digital repository. So that was it gave us what you call the much needed injection, and from his end, he'd probably think, it was a drop in the ocean, but it went a long way.
Yeah.
So,
and the culmination of where you guys are at now and what will be happening tomorrow. You touched a bit on the art exhibition. Tell us about the program.
Yeah, so the program, we have then put together so it's the memorial lecture, and how we are going to do it is in a form of a intergenerational dialogue. And the excitement part about me is that 90% of the panelists are all survivors and family members. So what we've been
we'll be hearing like the first-hand account,
right? And what we've been saying that, with this concerted effort to erase the Maseru Massacre's history from the liberation annals of South Africa, we are now reclaiming our voices, right? We are now controlling the narrative. And I'm telling you, Aldrin, the most painful thing is the resistance and disdain we've been shown, even building up to tomorrow.
But you push on, you soldier on.
We push on because with or without them, that's what we are saying. With or without you, we are going to do it. And I think this for us will enable us to go to private sector, to say, listen, we've been, the very same organization has speeded us out. We've long accepted that. We didn't knock at the doors of the Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council because we were seeking validation. No, this for us was for posterity, right? The youth, the young people from Walter Sisulu University, who most of them will be the first time that they set foot at Freedom Park, and they are engaged in this history. And the saddest part, Aldrin, 30 students participated in this art conceptual project, and we did say that in terms of our adjudication, we'll take the best produced artworks, and we had a total of 19. So our vision and hope was that we are going to transport those 19 to come through. And as I say, I tell you that 2 days ago we got rejections, right? And that's the saddest part. We would have appreciated if these rejections came a month before, but 2 days. 2 days or 3 days building up. So we have left so much heartbroken kiddos, but we've had people, friends of the trust, who said, listen, we are going to waive a certain fee you are going to pay us, but there is no way that you are going to host an art exhibition without the artists. So out of the 19, we managed, through donations of people who on the last minute said, here's a little sum, and we managed to put together a sum that will enable a total of 9 out of the 19 to come through. But because the exhibition will be on display at Freedom Park for up until March next year, our compensation, which is still hard to swallow to the kiddos because they were really looking forward to it. So those 10 who we left them behind. So before we take down the exhibition, we will converge again. So we will
hope that they get an opportunity to actually...
it has to happen. So now we know from January we are knocking at doors, but no, government has disappointed us. I don't see myself ever, even with these 2 institutions that we have, in inverted commas, partnered with. I mean, I'm going to share my disappointment at the memorial lecture tomorrow with how we've been shown a middle finger. This actually hasn't been a partnership. This is, we've been just, they're making it seem like they're doing us a favor.
Who's delivering the lecture and what's
So
the theme?
yes, so the current ambassador, South African ambassador to Russia, Umtate Mzuvukile Maqetuka, who also then during the 1982 Maseru Massacre was the head of intelligence of the ANC in Lesotho. So he will be giving us the opening remarks and just giving us a political overview, right, of the Maseru Massacres. Then we get into the two-part intergenerational dialogue, because we didn't want it to be like somebody lecturing us. Remember last year we were very much against with Ntatengwa Ramatlhodi came through and we were like, but you can't lecture us about, our fathers, about our parents. So that's how it's going to happen. And some of the theme also, the first part of the panel, the theme is the untold chronicles of the Maseru Massacre. So that's where we have these survivors who are now going to tell their stories in the first narration, right? First person narration. The second one would be the power of remembrance. Again, we are emphasizing how the partnership we forged with the Walter Sisulu University is very important, because our vision and mission is that we are doing this for posterity.
Yeah.
And these Masupatsilas, our Walter Sisulu University said, say no more.
Tell us, for people who want to come and join in, how do they get in contact? Where can they find more details?
Sure. So we still, this is not a closed invite, so you can get in touch with us on 062 269 8592, 062 269 8592. However, this event will be live streamed on the Facebook page of the National Heritage Council. So you'll go to Facebook, search for the National Heritage Council as well as Freedom Park, and you will be able to follow the proceedings.
Thank you so much, Nomzamo. I love your resilience. I love your tenacity. And to see this actually happening, well done. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And
continue pushing on.
Thank you so much. And the greatest compliment that anyone can give us, especially those who are influential and who have deep pockets, is to ask us, how can we help you? Give us your account number, so we'd greatly appreciate that. So that number, you can get in touch with us, and we'll give you more details. Thank
and
you
can
so
go
much.
into the podcast once we had the podcast up, so that you can get more details. That is Nomzamo Ungachu.
Culinary tales bold and true, that connects with joy, meal and mood. Dijo le Bophelo, a show for sustenance of mind and heart, where food and choice and harmony flow. Catch Dijo le Bophelo and find your glow only on SABC2. Brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Individual brilliance always adds a superb vibe to the team. Sami Sohail of Malawi holds the highest batting average in 2020 internationals. Dhruv Maisuriya of Botswana is the quickest to reach 50 wickets in 2020 internationals, and Francisco Kouana of Mozambique is the first player to score a century and take 5 wickets in the same 2020 internationals. Catch these African stars in action of the BNP Group Africa Cup this December, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Like, for instance, point that was raised by another voice note. It says that the prosecutor said the bail must be 5,000. The defense said 4,000. What did the magistrate say?
Yes.
What did the magistrate say?
10,000.
Why did the magistrate say 10,000?
That is still unfair.
Wait, Tommy, pendulum buzo. Answer the question.
Few inches later.
Wait, Tommy, pendulum buzo.
Pendula, 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 oh pendula, pendula, pendula.
This is Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
I know that I don't know.
Hashtag SAFMBTH.
It is 6 minutes now before 5 o'clock, and it is the build-up to the bonding session. Our co-host this afternoon is the extraordinary Penny Nabiani. Hello.
Hello.
Unjani?
Nifukile wena unjani?
Amfukile ngwana man.
Nami nanifukile.
I can't believe that I have Penny Libiani in studio.
Oh.
Yeah?
Is it a thing?
No, it is a thing. It is a thing. Like, this is the Penny Libiani Pela that we're speaking about here.
Oh, yeah, I'm that girl, eh?
Yeah, you are that. Can I just quickly, before we get into the discussion, though, longevity.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do it?
Life is a journey. Life is like a long distance marathon. You quieten the noise, and if it does get to you, you deal with it, but you don't lose focus. You constantly remind yourself of the why. I'm a girl from Bushbuckridge. It takes 6 hours to get to Joburg.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I only moved to Joburg to live with my parents when I was 13. So each phase of my life is important.
Yeah.
So I'm here to stay.
And you're always up for the challenge, Radio 2000. How's that going?
It's going good. I'm doing that love movement thing on Sunday, trying to disrupt it. Trying to do it from a girl's point of view, but also just trying to be, fun and flirty because, I'm also that as much as I'm serious and I'm social justice. I am rural development. Some say I'm activism, others say I'm feminist. So I'm all of those, but I'm a girl who's fun and flirty.
Speaking about fun and flirty.
Yeah.
So, by the way, guys, let me just quickly explain to our audience what happens. So, when we invite a co-host, we then ask them to suggest topics. And then we look at the topics and say, oh, okay, maybe this could work. So, one of the topics that has been suggested is...
Well, you asked me for topics. I submitted 6, and you picked this one particular one. So, there's I don't know if you've seen this. Cher, the artist.
Yes.
She's dating I think a 37-year-old or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she was being interviewed in one of this UK podcasts. And then they ask her in the podcast, like, what's the one thing that a woman should do? One thing that women should do. I actually want to find it for you because and that's what inspired me to put it in the topic. Initially, it wasn't there. So they ask her, "What's the one thing?"
you think women should do once? Go out with a younger man.
Yeah.
Okay.
They ask her, "What's the one thing that you think a woman should do once?" And she said, "God with a younger man." It's how she says it.
Yeah.
She just says it like, it's a straight sentence, full stop, no explanation.
There was no hesitation.
Yeah, no hesitation.
Also,
and then I was just like, I love how she says things. And then I just put it in the list, and that's what we're going to be talking about. We frown upon it when women do it, but men do it all the time. I mean, they're even very pedophilic about it.
Yeah, because with men, it's always been the case, and we know, for instance, in South Africa, we have, is it Ukutwala, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Where men would be dating very, very young girls.
They literally kidnap them, not even date them. They kidnap them,
Yeah, it's the kidnapping, and then, of course, the abuse and the rape that then happens as well. But society has always been okay with the male being the older, and the women being younger.
Yes, they're not okay with that.
So now the idea of the women now dating younger, it always gets frowned upon. I have an aunt, I won't mention who you are, aunt, who dated a younger person, and she enjoyed her life. She literally enjoyed her life, would have a wine with her younger person at the time, and she was happy, and she couldn't be bothered by what anyone else was saying about it. However, though,
most definitely. I mean, there's also people who have had like long time life partners, or who actually gotten married. Who it's not an issue most of the time between those two people. It's an issue with everyone else outside of those relationships. But also, when you get to a certain age, young men just show up. Like literally, even today, there's a Instagram picture of me that I posted in a red swimsuit, I think 2 years or 3 years ago. It comes up every 3 to 6 months. Someone will say, they say stay away from older women, but what about this? And then they put that picture. You know what I mean? And then they're like, you say older women this, and then, but I mean, what must happen now?
Yeah.
So it's a Twitter, that's what they do on X and Twitter all the time.
Would you date younger?
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Well, older men don't like me. Like Cher says, that's how Cher concludes the statement. She says, obviously older men don't like me, so what must I do? And younger men are asking me out.
Yeah, yeah.
They just
so you are dating younger right now.
I mean, young. It depends if young. I mean, it's like if they're mature, they're at a certain level.
Yeah, let's say
they're
young
doing
in terms
well.
of age.
I mean, yeah. If they're like, I mean, young as well. If they're 39,
No, Penny.
I'm on the other side of 40. It's not a problem.
No. I'm asking, are you dating somebody who is younger than you,
Well,
age-wise?
you know, I'm having conversations. I'm having conversations.
You're having conversations.
Yes.
Are you comfortable with those conversations?
I am, and also I get a lot of, and that's not to quantify or justify. I get a lot of people. I'm relatable to young people.
Yes.
I'm a young
Yes, that
person,
you are.
and I'll definitely.
Yeah.
I think I'll remain young. I'm young at heart. So a lot of older
Probably
guys
one of the favorite aunts in the family.
Yeah, a lot of older guys say my energy is a lot for them.
Oh.
Yeah.
They want you to be like,
I don't know, subdued.
Like,
just like,
hey, how are you?
How are you?
How's your day?
I
When
mean,
you-
I
then
can
you were
do
like,
that.
Hey, how was your day?
How's things going? Come on, let's go. So, I mean, I've had older guys say that to me.
Yeah.
I remember this one guy saying to me, I don't think I can keep up with your energy. And I was like, you're so embarrassing. You're not even 50. Can you just and 50 is no longer 50 of
Yeah,
20
it's not
years
50
ago. Yeah, so I'll, as much as I'll date a youngish 50-year-old, I will definitely date a 39-year-old who's very mature. There's lots of people who are old souls.
Okay, so that's the bonding session just after 5 o'clock. Would you date a older woman? What's your take on older women dating younger people, whether it is a woman or
Younger
a
man
that she's
yeah.
dating? What's
Or
your
women,
take
yeah.
on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
At 0614104107. You can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear, and our studio line is 086 000 2032. Remember that we are also on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook as well as YouTube, so I'll be taking your comments there as well. Our co-host this afternoon is Penny Lebian.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
The top stories this hour: more miners resurface from the underground protest, and the alleged Phala Phala mastermind is denied bail. A very good afternoon. The National Union of Mine Workers has confirmed that 15 more protesting mine workers have resurfaced from their underground sit-in at the Bakubung Platinum Mine in Leerdich in the northwest. Yesterday, 24 striking miners resurfaced due to chronic medical conditions. Today marks the third day of the sit-in, where more than 200 mine workers have refused to re-emerge after their shift on Wednesday morning. The miners are protesting over management's alleged discriminatory practices as well as salary increases. NUM's Deputy Regional Chair, Fani Silaelo.
Today also we managed to take out 15 from underground. It's around total of 245, and then we are looking forward for this afternoon to go underground again to try to persuade them to come from underground. As you can understand, today is Friday, and then if they cannot come from underground today, that means there is that possibility that all of them, they will remain for the whole weekend underground.
Meanwhile, Gold One Mine has described the death of one of the investigating officers as a tragic loss of life. The 55-year-old man was fatally shot close to the mine's Modder East operations in Springs on Gauteng's East Rand on Tuesday. It's understood that the man was investigating the instigators behind the October underground sit-in ahead of disciplinary hearings. Over 400 workers have once again not resurfaced since last night at the Springs mine. The head of legal at Gold One Mine, Ziad Hassam.
All are very concerned about the situation. It was a very tragic loss of life, a senseless loss of life for one of our long-serving employees, and so it is a concern for us as mine management, and we are taking every precaution we can to ensure that security is beefed up. It's difficult for us to share any details of an ongoing investigation, but certainly his notes and his whatever he had investigated is still available. All of that has been handed to the police.
The Billa Magistrates Court in Limpopo has denied the alleged mastermind behind the burglary at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapala farm, Emanuela David, bail. His two co-accused siblings, Froliana and David Joseph, were granted bail last month. The trio is facing charges of housebreaking and theft of over $580,000 from the farm in February 2020. David is also facing an additional charge of money laundering. The matter has been postponed to the 23rd of February next year. When delivering the ruling, Magistrate Pradeshni Panan said that the accused had failed to give the court his residential address.
Accused number 1 has no fixed address that could be verified with certainty. He further misled this court regarding ownership of any movable or immovable property. There is a strong possibility that accused number 1, should he be released on bail, may tamper or interfere with the investigation or the state witnesses or destroy or conceal any evidence against him. It is very clear that accused number 1 has not satisfied this court that the interests of justice permit his release from custody. Bail is accordingly denied.
The NPA's Mashudu Malabizangi says they welcome the court's decision.
Accused number 1 has been linked to all 4 counts of money laundering, including the one of theft with intent to steal. So, accused number 1, David, it was revealed through investigation that he has bought immovable properties using amount of money up to 980,000, and he also transferred those properties to other people. So he failed to prove to court in order for him to be released on bail.
And poor governance and leadership have been identified as some of the reasons for the country's bad drinking water quality. That is according to the Water Research Commission. It was reacting to the Blue Drop report released by the Water and Sanitation Department this week. The report assessed the state of all drinking water systems throughout the country. One of the main findings of the report was that 46% of water quality tests carried out by municipalities between 2021 and 2022 ranked poor in microbiological water quality compliance. The Commission's Jay Bagwan says municipalities need more upskilling to operate water systems effectively.
Water-stressed environments like the Northern Cape, Limpopo, Northwest Province, etc. You see patterns that, start talking to, the real issues of inequity in the country. They don't have the kind of revenue streams that they would need to run the systems. There's no good skilling and support that they have to operate these systems, etc. So it's a whole governance related to poor skills, poor investment in operation and maintenance, poor revenue streams, and poor leadership in those areas that is contributing to the kind of performance.
Recapping the top story, the National Union of Mine Workers has confirmed that 15 more protesting mine workers have resurfaced from their underground sit-in at the Bakubung Platinum Mine in Liedich in the northwest. Back with headlines at past for SAFM News.
Welcome to SFM Sports Headlines. Rugby, it's a new look Currie Cup where all 14 unions get a chance to compete for the top prize. And in soccer, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta remains unapologetically committed to displaying his emotions on the sidelines. Details coming up at the bottom of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
It's quite heavy around Pretoria's M1 corridor this afternoon. Stationary trucks getting in the way. There's one on the M1 south at Rigel, but that stays busy from Linwood. And there's one on the M1 north, Friday volumes up by Linwood Road, just before the N4, Emelafeli Highway. So really, that's under pressure from sort of Border Avenue territory all the way through towards that obstruction northbound, looking quite slow indeed. If you're leaving Pietermaritzburg down Urban, just note it's been a busy Friday afternoon. There is some traffic pressure as you come out of PMB all the way sort of down really to around about Umlas Road before out of that. Durban's N2 between Gateway and Komashu, solid both ways. It has been all day today. And if you're driving out of Cape Town, the N2, a breakdown just before Muway at Khayelitsha. That's slowing traffic from the airport. Also the R300 South queuing Delft to get into that N2 outbound. And a reminder that Hout Bay Main Road remains closed going in and out of Hout Bay. The some heavy pressure as you line up from Constantia Neck side direction, Hout Bay. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Gautrain is for the legends who make moves to save and pay from as little as 40 Rand from Sandton to Rhodesfield. It's for the bozzers who switch off the geyser when no one's home. And for our clever who get that there's food at home means exactly that. So when it comes to travel, make moves that save and pay from as little as 40 Rand from Sandton to Rhodesfield Station. Gautrain, for people on the move.
Sekhukhune United target a win in their own backyard against Stade Malien FC. Meanwhile, the Malian side refused to travel back home empty-handed. This is the CAF Confederation Cup Group D clash. Catch Sekhukhune United versus Stade Malien FC on Sunday 10 December at 8:30 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The only talk radio afternoon drive show that makes sense. Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear, right here on SAFM.
So exciting times here in studio. Our co-host this afternoon for the bonding session is a broadcaster extraordinaire, Penny Libyan. Do you miss doing talk shows by any chance?
I mean, I guess I do talk shows with my television work.
Yeah.
And I've never really been fully committed to doing talk show on radio.
Would you?
I would, now that, I'm of age.
Yeah.
Because
wow,
they made me do night talk at 25, and I told them that's not the kind of talk I want to do. 25 years ago, you can imagine the kind of strange things that they were doing. I was just like, no, this is not the kind of talk I like. Now I think I can, and I think now society, we're more open to different conversations as South Africans. Yeah.
Okay, no, I'll take it away. This is Penny Libyani's audition. If the bosses are listening, we have a potential host for a talk radio show here on SAFM.
Most definitely. Okay, so, obviously when I was asked to come and be part of the show this afternoon on the bonding session, I submitted a few topics. And I kind of knew that this is a banning, topic. And then, so Cher is one of my favorite artists. I just like how she answers things when she doesn't beat about the bush. She's like, this is it and that's it. No need to. I love her confidence. And she's in her 70s, I think, now. She's dating a 39 or 37, 39-year-old.
Yeah.
And she was being interviewed on this podcast. It's a British a podcast, I think. And this is how she went about answering the question of her dating a younger man. She says every woman should do this. And that's what inspired our topic for today.
Okay.
What's one thing you think women should do once?
Go out with a younger man.
Did you fall in love very quickly?
No, not at all.
Oh, really?
I left to go to Switzerland, and he texted me, and then he wrote me, "Get some rest, baby," with 3 Ys. And I went, he doesn't know me well enough to put 3 Ys on baby. And I told my friends, don't fall in love with a younger man, we're too old, and don't ever fall in love by text.
And
there goes that day.
What are the positives of dating a younger man?
Older men just do not like me. But,
it's probably because you're too perfect.
No.
Yes.
No.
I think so.
Okay.
So they also what are the positives, right? She doesn't address what's the positives about it. She's just getting straight to the point. Listen, I'm not wasting my time about older men don't like me, so why should I waste my energy on that?
Yeah.
I like how she's matter-of-factly about it. And that's the kind of matter-of-factly conversation I think we should have.
Okay.
It's either things work or they don't work.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So let's go to the line then and see what other people have to say about your take on it.
All right, so I think we've got Khaukhelo on the line. Good afternoon, Khaukhelo. You're live on SAFM.
Hello, how are you?
I am good, and yourself?
Excited.
All right, let's bond over this. First of all, you can tell us how old you are if you want, and if you've ever dated would you date a younger man or you dating one?
So I'm in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
I would date a younger man, probably, just 2 years younger, or maybe 3, 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 3, 4, I mean, that's like the same age, mate.
Essentially.
But they are younger anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just younger on their ID. But I guess, but what are the things that will make you interested in dating someone who's younger than you? I mean, does maturity, the type of conversations that you guys have matter? Or what will make you click with someone who's younger?
I think with someone that is younger, there's just a whole lot going on. I mean, conversations, maybe the fun part of it, the going out, because, when we grow up, we just let ourselves go. So when somebody's younger than you, they remind you that, hey, wake up, there's life, So, yeah, I think that's what would interest me.
So you've never dated one?
I have.
You
but
have?
Then, yeah, but still, that's 2 years younger than me. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, Khawkhela, thanks for calling in. All right.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, great stuff. So we continue to take your calls. Our WhatsApp line, voice note line is 0614-104-107. We're also on Twitter. It's SAFM Radio. And you can call in on 086 000 2032. It's a bonding session with me, Penny, and Aldrin this afternoon.
I'm the young one, by the way. I'm the younger gentleman. Can I just quickly share this?
Yes.
So I dated a older woman some time ago when I was still doing women. And she was married as well. So, and she used to take really good care of me, and she would drop me off at YFM. She was very
caring.
She was very
caring.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a younger man, a lot of younger men, when they date older women, they kind of want to be in charge. Because
you get intimidated, right?
Yeah.
Because first of all, the person is more mature than you are.
Yeah.
But then there's also the financial element. They earn more. That's my experience with my person back then. But then also there's a lot of authority that comes from the older person.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you want to assert yourself as well.
Ah, you want to assert yourself as well.
You don't want to feel like you're being the child in this relationship,
Yeah. But I think that's probably just, I don't know, a mindset thing. Because then sometimes that can become like a barrier because now you're trying to be more than what you actually are.
O batla o ba ntate wa lelapa.
Lapa, yeah, o batla o ba ntate wa lelapa mara wena o boyfriend. Wena sa hao fela ko boyfriend and do the things that and some also just overcommit themselves. They want to, because there's those who are younger who have more money than older women. Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot actually currently who are going, I don't know, what the conversation is going to happen with people my age. I'm looking for something mature.
Yeah.
That's their line when they come into our lives.
And they buy a popper.
No, they pop us strong. This is SA in 2023 in Cyril Economy. You'll be very shocked.
You'll be very shocked. Let's go to the voice note lines on 0614-104-107. As a older woman, would you date a younger man? And as a young man, would you date an older woman? Maybe you have some experience around that. Share that with us on 0614-104-107. My co-host is Penny Lebian.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614-104-107.
Good afternoon, Aldrin and SAFM listeners. This is Anonymous from the Transkei. What a lovely lady Penny is. What a bundle of fun. Really, I've also dated a lady older than me. She was 14 years older, but that meant no difference at all. But great show and a great vibe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think also the other challenge, and I want to hear it from different experiences. Most of the time, are you concerned about the reaction of people outside of your relationship?
Do you hold hands in public?
Do you hold hands in public? Do you do some PDA, public display of affection when you're with this person? And, what are the no to go topics? Because a lot of men also, and I want to say it in the nicest way, men want to plant a seed all the time. And then the older woman is like, I'm not having babies. And then they're like, I just want one with you.
to do or not to do?
Not to do. They want to conquer. So what are some of the things that are no-nos for you? So give us a call on 086 000 2032. It is SAFM. It's a bonding session with myself, Penny Libiani, and Aldrin. Let's take Miranda in Johannesburg. Hi, Miranda.
Penny, nice to hear you on the radio again.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Aldrin.
Hello, Miranda.
Yes. I've got the experience. So I'm 40, and my husband is 37 or 36, somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
And previously I was married to someone much older than me. So I've been in the experience. I've experienced both, the much older and a younger guy. So now we've been together for more than 6 years now, and the issue has always been family. I think at the beginning of our relationship was, who is this young person? What do they want from you? What are you going to do with a young boy? You are living a very nice, proper, stable husband. What are you going to do with this guy? So it's been exciting. And eventually with time, you don't even know, you don't look at age. I think there comes a time when the outlook and everything starts to similarize, especially us, because we ended up getting married. So it's great, the energy, the drive, that I'm in a space that we want to do new things, nice things. We can go groove and drink together, something which I couldn't do,
Oh, the older guy.
So I'm very happy because, there's fun. So I'm very happy.
Oh, so the young man brings fun.
I'm happy for you. I think as much as they bring fun, I think, from a woman's point of view, like you heard, she dated an older man.
Yeah.
And that came with its own, set of rules. But also societally, you have to behave a certain way. I think here she feels more relaxed to be herself. I mean, you can correct me, Miranda, if I'm wrong in that instance. Okay, she's
myself. I can just be myself
herself.
naturally, and then because I'm in my natural setting of not having to prove myself, everything just flew and became such a beautiful relationship.
Wow, that's an interesting dynamic.
That is Cher there joining us from Johannesburg. Thank you so much, Cher, for calling in. 0614-104-1.
You're calling her Cher officially.
And you can drop us an X at Aldrin Sampear. Remember that we're also live on Facebook and we're also streaming on YouTube. So we'll be reading some of your comments there as well.
Join us on Afternoon Express Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on S3. As being alone this festive season is what clinical psychologist Lee Mbata is here to help us with. Gynecologist Sherry Lee Franks has tips to keep your digestive and urinary tract healthy. Plus, get genius gifting and fashion ideas on Afternoon Express Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Repeat Sundays at 8:30 a.m. only on S3.
Mamelodi Sundowns and Egyptian outfit Pyramids FC have collected maximum points in their Group A opening matches. They now tackle each other in search of victory. Masandawana want to ensure their visitors walk away without any joy, but Pyramids FC are confident they will upset the 2016 champs. This is the CAF Champions League. Roerkop battles it out with East Cairo. Experience the African flavor of the beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus Pyramids FC on Sunday 10 December at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
And it is the bonding session with my co-host, Penny Lebiani.
Of course, we're spending time with you this afternoon. It's a Friday. Those of you who are driving on the road, I hope you're keeping it nice and safe. So I was driving from Mpumalanga before I came here
Yeah.
today. And I was a little bit anxious about this conversation. And as I listened to Sharon over and over again, that's where my confidence came from. So we want to hear from you. So I came across, this online. What makes a younger man attracted to an older woman? They say it's no surprise that younger men gravitate towards older women,
Mm-hmm.
but they say part of the reason is that they marvel at the maturity of older women, and there's a sense of independence,
Yes.
that you have as a woman. And I think as much as man, you want to be a caretaker.
Mhm.
You want to know if I can stand on my own. And obviously an older woman kind of presents that. And their ability to handle situations. And there's just some men who prefer that, who don't want to be fussing around someone. And so if you can bring that sense of maturity in their lives,
Ube independent.
we're independent, so they like that. So let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on 086 000 2032? You can also send us a voice note on our WhatsApp line. It's 0614 104 107. We got some voice notes as well.
And by the way, somebody said that management must really consider.
Are you pitching
yeah?
me?
Yeah, it is. I'm not lying. I definitely think that management should recruit Penny. She is awesome at this radio thing. I totally agree with you. Management. Let's take those voice notes.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hi guys. So I've dated an older woman. I was 20 at the time, and I think she was about 28, 29 at the time, and it was actually the best relationship I've ever had. I'm an old soul. Well, I was an old soul back then, so we used to like the same things. As much as she was older, I knew the stuff back then. I mean, we would bond over stuff like Nina Simone and all that old stuff.
20-year-old. 20-year-old.
And I was knowledgeable about old stuff as well. So, it was good. I mean, it didn't work out in the end when I was tired of having to say this is my auntie or stuff like that. And, I wanted to be official, and yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's why it didn't work out.
It's a voice note. I wanted to know why would he want to say this is my auntie?
What if it was her? Who wanted to be introduced as
to be just like the aunt instead of people knowing.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep it a secret.
Like the weird thing also is listening to this conversation, and I haven't heard the word sugar mama as yet, and that used to be like a thing at some point.
So I think we need to differentiate the sugar mama situation.
Mm-hmm.
A sugar mama is like a sugar daddy. It's somebody who has money who is throwing it at someone.
All right.
So it's different from when we go into a real partnership. So we were socialized to think that anyone who dates someone younger is a sugar mama.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case.
Okay.
Because that's the same thing. We don't say when an older man marries a younger woman is a sugar daddy.
Automatically.
Yeah. So why it doesn't
yeah.
automatically be sugar mama? So there's a whole difference. Sugar mama is I have got lots of money. I want to be entertained by a young man, and I'm going to do the sugary stuff for them.
Yeah.
But if we're dating, we're a couple. We get married. I just happen to be 10. I mean, there's Macron and
yes.
You know what I mean?
and the first lady
of France. It's like that. It's like a full-on, fully fledged relationship. So sugar mama, I'm taking you out, I'm entertaining you, I'm throwing things at you, but if we're going to be in a partnership, am I a sugar mama?
I accept that distinction. I accept that distinction.
All right, let's take Anonymous in East London. We also have Anonymous in Makanda. Hello, Anonymous in East London.
Hello, Penny. Hello, Aldrin.
Hello.
Aye.
Nina, I'm taking away a young 7-year-old man.
Uh-huh.
And I felt like rejected he didn't and the older men. Like, they treated me like trash.
Okay.
Nyanya this younger man, Bona, like he revived my spirit.
Yes.
Look, he showed me love.
Yes.
He showed me what love is.
Yeah.
The only thing, I have to be honest, there is always like a price to pay for each and everything. That's the thing with life.
What do you mean?
Because in a sense of that, he would do everything for me. He would come pick me up at work. He would cook for me. He would,
Wow.
The only thing is that his jealousy
was
my
intense,
God,
eh?
It was out of this world. It's like people would envy me. Oh, you are so in such a good relationship. Oh, you are loved and all that. Yes.
But he had a jealousy situation.
Yes, but that jealousy, it was a killer. I have to be honest. So yeah, it always comes with prices. Thank you.
Okay, great stuff. I
Love
think
you, Penny.
love you too.
Thanks.
I think that's a challenge there, and that's something that maturity will have to come in, because the same way that he found you attractive, there's other people who are going to find you attractive. So he gotta trust the process of like you can
feel
handle.
threatened, though.
But generally, I mean, if you're a hot woman, men feel threatened whether they're older or younger. If they're older, they feel like, oh, younger men are going to take you away from me.
Yeah.
Actually, some guy once said that to me. No, when you're going to break my heart. Younger men are going to come after you. I'm thinking, when? Why are we so fast? Jay-Z is 53. What's your problem?
Woo! Don't go there.
Do you know what I mean? Not in 2023. But that's a good point that she's making there. And also the part where she says, he gave me life. I feel like there's some people who never really experienced, a good time in relationships in their 20s. Maybe this is life fixing things that you never had before. Let's hear from you. Anonymous and
Wait before we go to Anonymous. Fixing isn't as fun, Anani.
No, because life can be out of balance. You can get into a relationship very young. You don't have the confidence, and then you just throwing yourself in something, and before you know it, you're married, but you haven't really lived. You don't know who you are. You don't have a sense of identity. Maybe you've never gone out. Like this lady was saying, you would go out, or you've never had someone picking you up and dropping you off. So life always is like mathematics.
Okay.
The sum that you missed, it always comes back and balances.
With a younger man, packaged in a younger man. It's 5:30, time for the news headlines.
Thank you very much, Aldrin. And with the news headlines, good afternoon. We start with this news just in. Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan has announced the appointment of Dan Marukani as Eskom's new CEO. The National Union of Mine Workers has confirmed that 15 more protesting mine workers have resurfaced from their underground sit-in at the Bakubung Platinum Mine in Liedegh in the northwest. And Gauteng's Health MEC has unveiled the Wall of Remembrance to honor the health professionals who tragically lost their lives during the Boksburg gas tanker explosion last year on Christmas Eve. Details of these and other stories, 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, the M1 North through Pretoria, very heavy backlogs. A stationary truck blocking multiple lanes between Linwood Road and the N4 Emelafeni Highway. Now, keep in mind, you've got Friday and weekend volumes trundling up that N1, and it is super heavy all the way back through to Buerta Avenue. That's a long queue of traffic, M1 North around PTA today. There's also been a crash on the M1 North in Joburg before Becluse, coming through from Sunning Hill is bad, and a breakdown tree south at Marlborough Drive, backlogging traffic from Becluse as you try to work through towards the Edenvale area. The N3 out of Pietermaritzburg's been really busy today. It still is, from Ashburton down to about Linfield Park into a stationary truck. The N2 going north, a breakdown at Gateway, so heavy through the roadworks from the Komashu side. And there's been a crash near Riverside Road on the M4. That's the Ruthurst Highway, causing delays both ways. And Cape Town ahead of this weekend's exciting Sevens event. I can tell you the western part of the CBD and the waterfront absolutely jam-packed. There's a lot of congestion inside the waterfront and generally en route through the Greenpoint area. Also unusual for this time of afternoon, the M3 is queuing heavily from Hospital Bend towards the Rhodes Drive exit down at Newlands. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Welcome to it. We kick off with Currie Cup, which has been given an overhaul and will now be played from July to the end of September. This is just one of the changes made to the competition following SA Rugby's General Council meeting in Cape Town today. A new format has also been introduced from 2025 that will allow all 14 unions to play for the top prize in South African domestic rugby. The change to a July start is to avoid the competition clashing with the European competitions, which will free up the union's best players to also feature in the Currie Cup. Meanwhile, Brian Abana says it won't be a walk in the park for World Cup stars like Antoine Dupois to get used to the intensity of sevens ahead of the Olympic Games. Now, the France captain and former Wallaby skipper Michael Hooper are among the star names set to switch codes next year to take part in the 2024 Olympics in Paris. Shifting between the codes is not unusual, with the likes of Kwagga Smith, Cheslin Colby and the Stormers stalwart Ron Nell and Sabelo Senatla regularly switching at time in their careers before focusing exclusively on 15s. Soccer News, Mikel Arteta says he will continue to show passion on the touchline despite landing himself with a ban for Arsenal's trip to Aston Villa. That's tomorrow. The Spaniard will not be in the dugout at Aston Villa as Arsenal aim to strengthen their grip at the top of the Premier League after he received a third yellow card of the season, and that was in the victory at Luton. The Gunners came from behind to win 4-3 as Declan Rice headed in the decider deep into stoppage time, with Arteta cautioned by the referee who deemed he had celebrated the goal excessively. And finally, golf. Rory McIlroy says Europe will have to rewrite the rules for Ryder Cup eligibility after Masters champion Jon Rahm joined Live Golf yesterday. The world number 3 Rahm was unbeaten as Europe defeated the United States 16-11 to regain the Ryder Cup in Rome, but his switch to join the Saudi-funded Live Tour has put his participation in the next edition in jeopardy. And that's a wrap of your sport on SAFM. I'm Zai Khan.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And it is time for a MoneyWeb market update with Wayne Makari in for Jimmy Moyaha this evening, Senior Portfolio Manager for FNB Wealth and Investment. Wayne, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what's been happening on the market. Wayne, are you there? Okay, let's see if we can reestablish. Okay, now we have Wayne on the line. Tell us about what's been happening on the market.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a good day today in the market. The market was down almost 1,000 points, and it's really on the mining side that saw the weakness. I mean, Anglo American was down almost 13% on the back of an update that times are tough and they're going to have to cut production and profits are down and they're going to cut costs and cut capital expenditure. So really, quite a bad news story on that side. And certainly ABSA as well came up with a trading update saying that their bad debts are really quite large, and that share down about 7%. Hello?
Hi, Wayne.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, is that the rep?
No. The rand's actually behaving itself quite well. It's at 1885, so that's not too much weaker, and lucky enough, Brent crude is also staying quite stable at about 75.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Wayne Makari, Senior Portfolio Manager for FNB Wealth and Investment, standing in for Jimmy Moyaha.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
All right, it is 24 minutes before 6 o'clock. We still continue with the bonding session, and my guest or my co-host this evening is Penny Lebiani, and we are speaking about women, older women dating younger men. And the question that I asked off air, although we won't go in too much detail with regards to it because we know that we also have children. So if you are traveling with children, please remember that parental guidance is advised. The question that normally comes with older women dating younger men is the sex.
Yeah.
Is the sex one of the reasons as well that that an older woman would go for a younger man?
I think yes and no. I don't think it's entirely it's because of that. I think also women, the older they get, the more they come into their fullness and the enjoyment of their body. I think as much as society always socialized to believe that a 22-year-old is sexy, it's really a patriarchal concept to make women see it that way, and it's very
sexualizing.
It's very sexualizing, young women. But women mature sexually as they get older because they come to the fullness of understanding their own body, hormonally, psychologically, and otherwise. And therefore, when it comes to sex, they're able to articulate. They also gain their voice and confidence, because the voice that I have at 22 is not the same that I have at 25.
Yeah.
What happens after I have a baby, my body changes and all of that.
When you were 22, were you able to say no to a certain way of doing sex compared to now?
No, I was terrified. It was about that person. I probably lied there. Did nothing. And then that's what you understand sex to be. There's a fear of pregnancy. And obviously, we're not socialized to speak openly with our parents about it, about the pleasure part of it. We don't have those conversations. And the more older you get, the more you can actually now articulate what works for you and what doesn't. And when you have that confidence, it kind of like makes the bonding session even more, it connects. So that's that.
Okay, 0614-104-107. That is our voice note line. You can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear, and our studio line is 086-000-2032. Let me just quickly go through some of the comments on Facebook as well as YouTube before we go to the line. So on the YouTube stream, we have here Luck Bao, who says, my ex-wife is older than me, full of fun and lively. She's more mature. We'll choose her again. I don't know your guess, but I like her openness and sense of humor. Nice show, Eldon. Have a nice weekend. Thank you so much. And Tutugo saying that old women are mature, dating a lady 10 years my senior. Won't lie, I enjoyed it. Pity it could not last. I wonder why it didn't last. And let's see if we have any comments on Facebook. Okay, Tafatwa saying that Aldrin, the guest, got the vibes. He should get recruited on the radio. Management, by the way, just sent me a text that Penny has a show on radio 2000.
I do every Sunday. But I mean, it's SABC. I can always, we're family.
And Kosnati said, Penny, also beautiful. I used to watch your show on a TV. And Anisto saying that definitely I should see her bikini photos, and the dude who said he can't handle her energy. I understand why she seemed like fun on that Pearl Tuesday interview. She is a fun mom.
All right, so we've got a Twitter from Caesar Islam saying Prophet Muhammad was married to an older woman. If the most important person to have walked the earth was married to an older woman, who am I? That's what they say. And then Kolani, who's from our sister station, Munganalonene, said, older women bring sense of comfort and help us get a sense of direction. A man in his 20s must date an older woman if they want a bright future. And then they laugh. I don't know how that goes. But we want to hear from you. You can also give us a call on 086-000-2032, like Livy in Gqeberha. Hi, Livy. Livy, are you there?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, is that Penny?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Penny. I just want to give my thoughts on this. Somebody just jumped the gun here and mentioned Prophet Muhammad, as I wanted to, because I am from the Muslim faith. I had an experience of both, the older veteran soldier and the young man. And I would agree with Cher. Every woman in her lifetime should have that experience with the young man, the younger man. In the case of the Prophet Muhammad, it was because of his honesty. She was a very wealthy, Khadija was a very wealthy woman, and she fell in love with the honesty and the way that he presented himself. And just one thing I want to mention that I missed from the friendship I had with the younger person was that optimism, the excitement, the loads of energy. The veteran that I ended up marrying would often tell me, please don't call me baby. I'm not a baby.
Oh, really?
He looks like he stepped from the FHM magazine, straight from the army. But I miss that young, vivacious. You know what I mean?
I know.
You'll know.
I know what you mean. Well, thanks for the call, Livy. Have a great weekend. Okay. All right, great stuff. So there you have it. It's quite interesting. I'm sure that the older women also enjoy like the words of endearment that younger men are able to throw. They can dedicate a Chris Brown song to you.
You heard Cher saying that You don't know me to be using
baby with
3
3
Ys.
Yeah, that's what she says. Okay, so do we have some voice notes?
Okay, let's go to some voice notes on 0614-104-107. Remember to also comment on our Facebook page. You can also comment on the YouTube page.
All right, we've got Anonymous in Cape Town. Hello, Anonymous. How's Cape Town this afternoon?
It seems to be cloudy now. It's getting cold, but it'll warmer during the day.
Awesome stuff. So, tell us about your experience with dating a younger man.
I don't even know if this applies with me. Okay, I'm 32, by the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, he was younger with age. But I don't consider myself an old woman just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all of that aside now. I am very attracted to men that are intellect, right?
Yes.
And this guy, he was absolutely smart. I think he was doing his master's in mechanical engineering at the time. But for me, he just didn't do it. Although he was smart, book smart that is, he just didn't do it for me. It was great choice. Yeah, it was just not for me.
So he was just book smart, but not the other areas of life smart. Yeah.
He didn't stimulate me at all, so I had to let him go and not hold on to the fact that the other room in the house was better than any other part of our life. It just wouldn't do it for me because we would be looking into life with just one thing, so that would be very
Well, you're 30. You're 32, so I'm sure there's definitely some young men waiting in the wings.
Anonymous, you are young.
I've actually moved on a long time ago. I'm in a very sad soul, and everything that I ever wanted, I have it right now, so that's not a problem.
All right, great stuff. All right, thank you. We've got Jermaine in Cape Town. Hi, Jermaine.
Hi there, how are you guys?
We're good, and yourself?
I'm great, thank you, man. I just want to put on my 10 cents about this young men dating older women thing. I think one of the main reasons is older women have more experience in life, and they are more understandable when it comes to the male, what he does, and she's more understandable. They are more loving, more pleasing, more forgiving. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the reason why older guys date younger women is for them to have that vibrant excitement again. But for most of guys that prefer older women, it's because of their experience in life. And because older women, she has probably gone through a divorce, she knows how to love someone, she knows how to treat someone, she knows how to cook food, she knows how to clean your clothes, she knows how to take good care of you. Sometimes a young woman that's 21, 20 years old, all she can do is lay on her back, be beautiful, do her nails, do her hair. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's my 10 cents.
All right. Thanks, Jermaine. That's a very interesting 10 cents there. Unfortunately, we have to go for a break because I wanted to engage him a little bit on what he said. So we're back with more.
Because also there's those gender stereotypes.
Those gender stereotypes that came through there as well. Because the minute I'm cleaning, cooking, whatever, I sound like a domestic worker or your mom.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what I want to be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm here to be your person.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. After that, we continue to take your calls on 086 000 2032, voice notes on 0614 104 107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear.
The massive evening to walk on the purple carpet has arrived. The queens of the beautiful game, coaches and administrators are recognized for their excellence on and off the pitch. Celebrating the sheroes of football. Experience the Hollywood Bet Super League Awards this Saturday, 9 December at 8 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Join us on Afternoon Express Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on S3. As being alone this festive season is what clinical psychologist Sleeben Bata is here to help us with. Gynecologist Sherry Lee Franks has tips to keep your digestive and urinary tract healthy. Plus, get genius gifting and fashion ideas on Afternoon Express Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Repeat Sundays at 8:30 a.m. only on S3.
Individual brilliance always adds a superb vibe to the team. Sami Sohail of Malawi holds the highest batting average in 2020 internationals. Dhruv Maseru of Botswana is the quickest to reach 50 wickets in 2020 internationals, and Francisco Kouana of Mozambique is the first player to score a century and take 5 wickets in the same 2020 internationals. Catch these African stars in action of the BNP Group Africa Cup this December, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The only talk radio afternoon drive show that makes sense. Beyond the Headline with Aldrin Sampear, right here on SAFM.
And we have our colleague in studio, Oliver Dixon. Oliver has Oliver, is it experience?
Experience.
Experience. As in like I am experiencing like
current
present
or past
continuous tense. Or is it past tense?
I mean, it can only be past tense if it never happens in the future again.
Oh.
So in that instance, it doesn't matter, but it's experience.
Okay.
But right now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's boozing.
Okay, Aziz, let's hear it. What's the experience?
So 2 things. I mean, you guys make it seem like, or at least some people make it seem like, some of the voice notes I've heard, make it seem like there's a deliberate attempt at certain women to date specifically only younger men.
Okay.
Or there's a specifically concerted effort for younger men to date older women.
Yeah.
In my case, it has all been coincidence. Generally speaking, all of our dating lives, all of us, is a function of environment, right?
Yeah. True.
You date where you spend the vast majority of your time. Most likely, you're going to marry someone you're likely in the same industry with, in the same church with, in the same school with. Perhaps you guys even work together.
Yeah, unless
Right.
if you're deliberate, like some of us say, that will not happen.
That will,
not
yeah,
in
sure.
the church, not where I work. I'm looking.
Yeah,
for,
but then you're going to be single forever, right?
Well, look
for a
at
long
me
time.
now, but it's working out.
Right, and so it was just in my case, shortly out of varsity, found myself in industry where I was always the youngest person. It may well still be the case here, I think. I don't know, right? Where I was always, and so naturally, you're spending half your time, more than half your time at work. Who are you going to end up dating? The people in that space. So that's how I've mostly, in the last, let's say, 10 plus years been dating.
So you've been dating in the industry for the last 10 years?
No, not in the industry specifically. Okay. I mean, I don't only belong to this industry, multiple other industries.
I see. That's
and
fair.
there has been a situations where it's like, okay. It's just that sometimes the age difference can come across as very jarring and shocking.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's manageable age differences, then there's unmanageable age differences.
Really?
Well, Cher's 79 or something, and that guy is 40, and she's the one we're using who inspired this conversation.
yeah.
So how jarring is this jarring that you're talking about?
Like a 5-year age difference is not even noticeable.
No.
Barely noticeable. But a 15-year age difference, that's noticeable.
Yeah, I think 10 is like where I kind of can cap it.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, there's ambitious people who are like 15 and they're very ambitious and they just come with that confidence and you're just like, no.
Okay.
But especially with younger men, that's how it is. I mean, obviously, society doesn't make a fuss when the man is dating a woman who's 35 years younger than them. So.
Okay, I'll see you again, guys.
Next one. Let's take Tando. Let's take Tando and George. Nice experience. Thanks for that.
Yes,
hi, Tanda.
Hi, good day, guys.
Yes.
Just before I get to my experience, I just just listened to the caller before this one, and you guys wanted to when he said I want someone who cooks for me and does this, my laundry and what. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because, I mean, my woman, for instance, also expects me, me as a man, I don't expect when there's something happening at night outside, there's a noise going on there, I don't expect my woman to go and investigate that. There's certain things that I, as a man, right, can do or do without, I mean, I cannot expect my
Okay, Tando, let's have that conversation on another day. I disagree with you, but let's have the conversation on another day. Tell us about what your take is on dating older women.
Oh.
Hi, Tando.
All right, we lost Tando.
We lost Tando there.
All right, we have a voice note. I tried approaching Penny.
Okay. Let me explain that text while we go to the voice notes on 0614-104-107, and you can also drop me an X at Aldrin Sampear. So this is what the gentleman says. I don't know if you want to be mentioned, gentleman.
No, who's that?
He says, I tried approaching Penny once at the Ferndale Village Spa. You frequent there?
Yeah, I live around the area. Thank God I've moved now.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I used to see the sexy woman at Spa. One day, I psyched myself up and approached. Then Kwababa pulled me back. She can be intimidating.
Story of my life. Guys, I'm not intimidating. I'm very approachable. We'll have this discussion another day, Aldrin, because I've had a lot of guys saying that you're very intimidating. I'm like, yeah, just state your case. Know why you're coming to meet.
You see, that's exactly it. I don't know what my case is. Let's take your voice notes on 0614-104-107.
Hi, Aldrin. So I used to date this older lady. She was 10 years my senior. Hey, Losses Law was very fun and I enjoyed the relationship. Hey, but there were days, where I'd be doing things. So she was a medical doctor, so I'd be calibrating the machines there. And, she'd be like, good boy, well done.
You get a golden star.
Yo, good boy, bruh. Good boy, well done.
Okay, I guess also that must be manageable because it can be that mama type of a setup. I don't think I would also.
That's what I spoke about earlier on, when you almost feel like now you're being the child in the relationship.
No, it can't be. It can't be. We must still be equals and respect
each
other.
Hi, Aldrin. How are you? Me okay. I'm anonymous. I did date an older woman. She was 10 years older than me, but by the time I was proposing, I lied to her. I put my age 6 years up front, thinking that I'll come closer to her or I'll be older than her. When she told her my age, she was 10 years
so
older than me, but me, I put 6 years older. She was so caring. She didn't want anything. She didn't want anything from me. She loved me, and I loved her. But we did come to an end when I said no. But now I need a family. That's how we separated. Thank you.
That's what you mentioned a bit earlier on.
Yeah, I think that should be like.
Hi, Aldrin.
Hello. Is that a voice note?
Yeah, just bleed it into the previous voice note. One last voice note, and then we wrap up.
Good day. I haven't dated an older woman than me, but I feel like if I did date an older woman, I would expect the older woman to have more mzomulo, like more money, than me. Like I would expect if she's talking over AK, she's willing to spoil the younger me. I think that's pretty much it. Because other than that, yeah.
All right, we've come to the end of our voyage with my co-pilot, Penny Libyan.
Oh, thank you. I had so much fun. I think just before I get to the pattern shot, last guy who called, I think that discussion of having babies must be discussed very, very early. Of like, if you have a future of wanting to have babies, I'm going to release you.
Really?
Yes, because I don't want to be caught up with...
So you don't want to have any more babies?
No. I'm not, unless if you're a sheikh, like Janet Jackson, when she married, she had a baby at 50. I'm not having babies with you and then you're going to run away.
Are they divorced now?
They are, but she kept the money.
It's $100 million.
However much that was. However much, or unless I'm in a position of Rihanna, I know that even if, he goes to jail, I'll be fine. You just got to look out for you and your babies. If the genes are good, that's fine. But financial... implication. You just need to make sure, that's sorted. I had great fun.
Thank you so much for coming.
Awesome stuff. So our parting shot for today, and this is my responsibility. Today we leave you with the words of Marcia Weda Okay. Who once said, use your precious moments to live life fully every single second of every single day. And I hope that today was all about that. Because love is love. And it doesn't matter how it comes. Zero boundaries. Like, you know what I mean? After COVID, please don't hold back.
Yeah. And the song that we're playing out with today is Spin My World, DJ Kent featuring the Arrows. And our credits this evening are read by Terrence.
Awesome stuff. Bye.
Terrence here from Pretoria, and I take great pride in being given the pleasure to close off the show this week. Now, to the entire BTH team behind the mic, Aldrin, as well as today's co-pilot, Penny Lebeane. What an amazing way to end off a beautiful week. The production team of Temba, Kanya, Vusani, Sia, Lundi, as well as Katu. Sterling work as always. And to all of the BTH listeners, may you all have a blissful weekend. Everyone stay safe, and catch you as we check in on Monday for the next installment of BTH.
Aldrin Sampear on Beyond the Headline.
And remember to love each other and lead with compassion. Totsins, enjoy the rest of your evening and have a beautiful weekend.
Spin my world around, lift my feet off the ground, and troubles bring me down. Boy, you spin my world around. Boy, you spin my world around, lift my feet off the ground, and troubles bring me down. Boy, you spin my world around. You and think, how did I do it? How did I find a man so true? I look at you and think, how did I do it? I found someone like you. I look at you and think, you got me wrapped